Static Selector.
Yeah, we all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on. We all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on.
Static Selector.
Yeah, we all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on. We all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on.
Static Selector.
Yeah, we all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on. We all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on.
Static Selector.
Yeah, we all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on. We all reppin' for Boston, man. All green, everything. Brought up, we were bleeding green. You ain't got our history on.
Static Selector.
You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth.
What's the truth?
You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth.
What's the truth?
You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth.
What's the truth?
You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth. You look at the evidence, you'll see the truth.
Mic check to the guards. Mic check to the guards.
What up?
We are here. What up, Jay Bro?
What up? What up?
You know how we do it. Ain't nothing to it. How am I looking, my brother?
Looking good, bro.
Good. Just making sure everything's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got 64 people up in the room. We're trying to get some more people up in here on the flight. Doors will be closing soon. You know how this goes, right? We got plenty of room in the overhead bins. Please put your luggage up there and now. But if you have a backpack, put it up in front of you real tight in the front seat because it could move in flight. Put your trays up. But before you do that, make sure you take out your Hershey Kisses, your Cliff Bars, your vapes, your nips, because we're about to take you up to 39,000 feet. Turbulence in the chat keeps the plane rocking. We got goals in different area codes, ladies and gentlemen. Please populate them goals and let's get the conversation moving. J.F.K. is on the move. I actually got to catch a flight in a little bit. But before we do, we brought you the exclusive. The exclusive. Pot 35, Marty L joins us. His name's Martin, right?
Yeah, Martin.
I see you, brother. He's backstage right now. I see you, Martin. I'm going to bring you up real soon. I'm just going to introduce you. So Martin Landry, his name. He's from Somerville. He's an older gentleman. He's about a little bit older than me. We've been covering the Eddie O'Brien case, ladies and gentlemen. And he actually used to be with Carrie Ann, the older daughter of the older daughter of Janet Downing. We heard about Artie. We're going to ask him questions about Artie. Does he know Artie? We're going to ask him questions about Carrie Ann. More so, we're going to ask him about Janet Downing. R.I.P. Janet Downing for sure. 30 years ago, we're going to ask him about Eddie O'Brien. What did he feel about Eddie? Did he think Eddie could do this? He knows a little bit about the family. Knows the family for sure. We're going to get to it. My man, Jay Brill, how you doing, my brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, my brother. I'm good. And once again, everybody, big peace signs up to my man, Jay Brill, bringing you Martin Landry today on the 21st of December, a couple of days before Christmas. And we are here. I know this is a long intro, people. This was a live that was put together pretty fast. So just waiting for some people to get in here. Their notifications are probably getting turned on right now. They're getting notified. Just want to make sure everybody gets in here. But yeah, without further ado, let's bring up Martin Landry. Martin, what's up, brother? Hey,
Hi
buddy.
there.
How you doing? Hello.
Doing well, J.F.K.
What's up, buddy? Everything good?
Yeah, all good. Just, chilling out here on Sunday.
Right? Chilling out. I hear that, my
Yeah.
brother. Nothing wrong with that. So without further ado, you used to before we go any further, you grew up in Somerville, right?
Somerville, Mass. Yeah.
How was that growing up?
It was good. As a young kid, I went to the Boys and Girls Club over here on Washington Street.
Right.
As a kid. She was Carrie Ann was also a member of the Boys and Girls Club. So she used she had a friend named Kim that was like really like neighborly friends, and I would always see Carrie Ann at the Boys and Girls Club with her girlfriend Kim, and they would hang out together. And I was just floating around, always in the video game room.
The video game, and they had what? They had back then. They had the ping pong tables, the pool table, things like that, right?
Yeah, they had a game room, a
Yeah, the good old
gymnasium.
days.
Yeah.
Did you play basketball growing up? Was you any good at basketball?
Not really. I wasn't good at it. The only basketball I ever played was out in the public street courts down here in East Somerville Court and stuff like that. The only sport I ever got into was ice hockey.
Ice hockey, huh? They played.
Yeah.
So you grew up on the name of the street you grew up was Myrtle Street. Is that correct? Was that the street?
No, it wasn't Myrtle. I'm familiar with Myrtle Street. It's right down from where I grew up. It was Alston Street, Alston Street.
Oh, Alston Street, like the city over there.
Yeah,
in Boston?
yeah, like
Nice.
Alston, the city. Yeah.
So you wasn't
But it
too
was
far
good.
from the Assembly Square Mall, huh?
No, it was walking distance. Always was. It used
So
to be
you could
different.
walk. You could walk from Janet Downing's house, Boston Street, to the Assembly Square Mall. Wasn't too far.
Yeah. She where she lived on Hamlet Street, Hamlet and Boston Ave,
Right.
and Prospect Hill area. I was Alston Street where I lived and grew up as a kid. At my parents' house was right down the street across the highway, McGrath Highway.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah,
she
you had to
wasn't.
cross the highway.
Yeah, to get to my house down the hill from Prospect Hill.
So did you go to Assembly Square Mall a lot? Did you ever go hang out in there?
Yeah, I would go there just back and forth. Back then it was Kmart, Jordan Marsh. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a
Jordan Marsh, right there.
department
It was a
store.
Kmart. Kmart was on the one end, and Jordan Marsh was on the other end.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they had the
and that was
McDonald's
like
and stuff.
so classic.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
so
good old
classic.
days. The good old
Yeah,
days for sure. So did you ever? Did, a lot of people hung around Sullivan Station too. Did you hang around Sullivan Station?
not really. I sold papers there in the morning time for Bico News, but
Oh, really?
it wasn't like a hangout place for me. The
Yeah.
place where I would hang out as a kid would be Cross Street, which is
Cross Street?
Cross,
Yeah, I know Cross
CROSS.
Street. Oh, you ain't gonna
Cross
tell
Street,
me
yeah.
about Cross Street. I was in the DYS on Cross Street.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I know that
yeah,
built
yeah.
that
Right,
resident.
right next to the bridge. That
Ah,
little bridge right
yeah,
over Cross Street, right there.
yeah,
So
that
you
was a
hung on Cross
DSS.
Street. Yeah, DYS. So you hung what in that park right there?
Yeah, like it used to be called Donovan's Park, and I would no, not Glen Park, but I would hang out in at the top of Cross where
Yep.
Donovan's used to be, and then it was
Right.
Kerry's, spelled differently, because Kerry was different from Kerry Ann, who owned Kerry was the name of the restaurant at the top of
Okay.
Cross Street, and I would just hang at the top of Cross Street on the Cross Street Bridge with
Oh
my
yeah. So
friends.
you was right there.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool little neighborhood over there.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, most of us kids, like anything else, we would always get in trouble as kids because
Yeah, of course.
know,
What was the name of that Italian restaurant? It's right there. If you go down the bottom of Cross
Miss
Street, what was it?
Mr. B's, Mr. B's.
Oh, Mr. B's. That was
Not
my
quite.
boy who owned that. Mr. B's. What
Yeah,
do you call it?
Mr. B. Yeah,
What's his name? Baldessaro from Cambridge owned that. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Jose
yeah,
owned
yeah,
it at one time.
yeah. Mr.
It was,
B's, man. That was a cool little spot too. Yeah.
yeah,
So
a lot of people.
so let's go back to what year did you meet Carrie Ann? You said you met her around like 91, 90?
1990, 90. Yeah, that's when she was only 16. I was 18. Her mother didn't
Okay.
approve of it. Her girlfriends didn't approve of it. But I was going out with her at 18 and she was 16. It
Nice.
wasn't it wasn't a very long relationship. It was only I think I went out with her, and this is God's honest truth, for like 2 weeks, solid, boyfriend girlfriend, and then
Only 2 weeks?
yeah, yeah, I was
Huh,
working
How
at
do
the
you?
time. I was
Where'd you
I was
work
a
at?
cook.
Yeah.
Front page restaurant in Charlestown. I was a line
Oh,
cook.
oh yeah, front page. I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. So you only went out with her for 2 weeks, but in that 2 weeks, her mother got wind that you was with her that quick.
yeah. What happened was her girlfriend Michelle called. Her mother called Michelle because she was Carrie Ann's girlfriend, and Michelle relayed to her over the phone probably that Carrie Ann is at Martin's house at 6 Olson Street, which is right across the street, adjacent to Chester Ave, where Michelle lived. So her mom, what happened one night, came to the house, rang the front doorbell, said, My daughter Carrie Ann was told that she's here with you know, your brother, because my brother answered the door at the time, your younger brother, and I was just here to retrieve my daughter. So she was with a policeman, some of
Really?
a police officer. Yeah, and she came to the back door, rung my apartment door. Kerry comes out, and I come out, and what happened was Janet Downing says to the policeman, some of the policemen, please, sir, can you explain to this young gentleman that he's not allowed to have my daughter over his house? And what the policeman said, sighing on my behalf, and this is this is where the story gets good. He goes, ma'am, he's not breaking the law because she's not being held against her will that
Mhm.
night. Yeah. So she's like,
So
uh, the
why did
policeman.
word get out? Why the why the word get out so fast? Did you have a reputation in the neighborhood as a good guy, a bad guy? Was you a street kid back then? You fought people or
Well,
whatever?
at the time, my life was going good. I had structure in my life. Like I said, I was working as a line cook when I was going
Mm,
out with Carrie Ann, and she was
right.
still going to school. And I had just graduated at 17, and I got a, like I said, I got a line cook job at Front Page in Charlestown restaurant, Front Page restaurant, and
Yeah.
I was working as a cook. You know, I had money. And it's true. One night I was like, "Do you need any money, Carrie?" Because I had plenty of it. I had saved it from work. She's like, "No, I don't really want money." And I says, "You want some of any personal belongings, like some of my jewelry I have, like necklaces?" And she never really was interested in anything like that, which was weird because I didn't. I was like gold chains, money, and I was going out with her at the time for 2 weeks, and what, like I
So
said,
you liked
staying on
her.
the subject.
You liked her a lot, huh?
Yeah, we were boy. I ultimately met her one night. I was over my apartment with a couple buddies, and this is how it all began. Is what happened was I go to my friend Marco. Marco, why don't we go out, see if we can find a couple girls, because we were getting a little tipsy. It was underage drinking. I shouldn't say this, but it was underage drinking. So why don't we go
Mhm.
out and find a couple girls? We'll come back and ask them if they want to come back to the apartment and have a couple beers. So me, my friend Kerry, not Kerry Ann, Kerry. That's his name. Kerry, Keriann. But his name's spelled different. And we walked down Cross Street. Kerry Ann was with Michelle Mobilia, real good friend of hers, and also a friend Rosie Rosenberg. So I said, Kerry, why don't we ask them if they want to come back to the apartment and have a couple drinks, just chatter or what have you, because we were just hanging out looking for somebody to hang out with. So they go, all right, well, we'll go back to your place, and they had they had been drinking, we had been drinking, and it was,
Right.
in all honesty, it was underage drinking. So she went back to the apartment. We stayed. Nothing really happened that night, but I gave her my phone number, my landline, because back then there was no cell phones. Nobody had any cell phones. The only phones we ever had was pay phones and landlines. So I
Mhm.
gave Carrie Ann my phone number, and I didn't think she was going to call. So the
Mm.
following day, after I got back from work, from Front Page, right around 5 o'clock, she calls my house and says, "Well, can I come over?" And I said, "Yeah, it was fine." And she did. And like I said, it got a little confusing because her mother didn't approve of it, and like none of her girlfriends approved of it either. And it was just one of those things. It was a small thing, girlfriend boyfriend, but that was 1990, the
So
calendar
you
year
remember that?
1990.
You got a real good memory, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it
You
went.
do. Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
she was
you
one.
got with
She was
her.
base.
So let me ask
Yeah,
you this. Let me lay down this question. So Janet comes to your house and
yeah,
she tells you she takes. Now you really like Kerry, right?
yeah. I was going out with her at the time.
So when she came to your house and told you you can't be around her no more,
I'm
you
on
all
the
right?
phone, sir. Yeah,
You
it's a
okay?
gentleman. I'm on the phone. Hold on. This guy
No
wants to
worries.
ask me something.
Go ahead, brother. Take your time.
Oh, sir. God bless. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. The gentleman just gave me $2
Oh,
for
there you go, brother.
yeah.
You got it. You got a
So
cash app? You got a cash app or anything like that? A cash app
cash.
or a Venmo? A cash app.
I
It's
have
an
a
app.
bank. Oh, a
You have a
cash
what?
app.
Yeah.
Do I have cash app? I could download it.
Yeah. Why don't you
And
download your cash app? Once you download your cash app, right, and connect your bank
yeah.
to it, I'll send you a couple of bucks.
Okay. After the
All
show.
right. Yeah. After the show, just
Yeah.
figure it out.
So,
Me and
and it's true.
talk to Jay Brill. Jay Brill will get it together for you.
Okay, thank you. Um,
Yeah.
and like I said, this happened. This all went down in 1990. So, what happened was, one night it was just on the news. Somebody killed Janet Down,
Let me
and
let me let
I
me
was
let me
back.
let me back let me back you up just a little bit. Let me just back you up just a little
Okay.
bit. So she came to your house. I'm just trying to understand what type of woman Janet was because we don't talk about Janet
Yeah.
enough, you know? So
Uh huh.
Janet comes to your house. Was she mean to you? Was she nice? Was she strict? Like how was she? What was her relationship with Kerry back then?
I, her relation. She was. Carrie was. She wasn't obeying her mother. I assume because her mother was always chasing her around because she was drinking at a young age and she was still going to school. So um, she was hanging out with Michelle Mobilia, her best friend, and Rosie Rosenberg that night. But she would always, hit Michelle Mobilia with where's Kerry located? Where is she? Where is she this evening? Where is she that evening? And Kerry would run around with her girlfriends, this and that. She broke her curfew. I'm assuming that on some nights she wouldn't even come home. Like she stayed over my house, and I don't think she told her mother where she was going. So like I said, she came to and lo and behold, the police officer sided on my behalf, which was kind of surprising. I was like surprised because I didn't know the law, and the law was, simply that if she was being held against her will, it was breaking the law. Although Janet Downing, like I said, asked the police officer, "Sir, can you please explain to this young gentleman, like I said prior, uh, that he's not allowed to have my daughter over her house, and unless she was being held against her will, it was no law being broken. So I wasn't breaking the
I
law by
understand.
having her over,
So
yeah,
that was
over
the
the
end of
phone.
Kerry. You and Kerry never talked again.
No, we broke up because she went back to her. I don't know what she said between her and her girlfriend Michelle, but Michelle convinced her that I was, some type of jerk, what have you. And it's true, I got in trouble a lot as a kid, but I had structure in my life at the time. I had just
Mhm,
graduated in a line cook job, and she dropped me as a boyfriend one night,
mhm.
and then she never talked to me, and I can honestly, and this is true, like a normal male person would do. I was young at the time. I was always asking for within our relationship between girlfriend and boyfriend for sex, and she never got into it. As she's like, "Why are you always asking me every time we meet up?" And I didn't have an answer for her. She went
God
back to
damn,
her
Marty.
boyfriend, Michelle. Yeah, as a young kid, I was only
No, I get
18.
it. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
so
No
she
judgment here,
ended up
brother. No
breaking.
judgment here.
And it's true what you have said, Jeff, that she stopped talking to me. She wouldn't talk to me when we saw each other. She didn't want to
Well,
be
so
around
so
me.
you so
Dumped me.
the reason why she stopped talking to you was because she thought you was a jerk because you kept that's what she
I
thought.
would always, I would always ask if we could have sex, and
Mhm,
she couldn't. Her mother didn't approve of it. She was a nurse at the time. Janet
mhm,
Downing was she was I think she was a nurse at Harvard Van Medical medical building in Medford
Did you ever
Square.
go? Did you ever go there
Yeah,
with Kerry? You been there
yes,
to
I went
Harvard?
there. And
So did her
what
mother get
Carrie
mad
Ann
that
told me,
did her mother get mad that you showed up at her work with her daughter? Like, did she
I
like
never
back then?
went. I never went in.
Did
She was going out with me secretively. I'm assuming, but
oh
even if Carrie Ann did say she told Janet, her mom, that she had a boyfriend, I don't think Janice wasn't the type of person that would approve of any of it. Because I mean, I was only 2 years older than her, but you know,
yeah,
it
I get
was
it.
enough that her mother's approval was never there.
Did
I
you
know
like
that for a
Janet?
fact.
Did you like Janet? Was you like
The
afraid of
only
her? Like,
I was afraid of her that night. I thought she was going to get me in trouble and she was going to yell at Carrie. I was going to be in trouble with my parents for having somebody over my apartment that I should not have. And she scared me that night. But
of course.
it's true, there was no law being broken,
No, I
just
get
her
it. I
being
get it,
over.
brother. So
Yeah,
let's say this. So let's go here. So how far was Alston Street to Hamlet Street? Is it far?
it's walking distance. It's
So
like
did
if
you
she
have
came
like
down,
did you meet Kerry? Like, was there any special place you met Kerry like from that distance? Like, so her mother wouldn't see you?
she would call me on my landline because I was allowed to have a phone in my apartment.
Was
As long
there
as I
any
paid the phone bill.
was there any secret like ways to get from your house to like Alston Street so that way Janet wouldn't see her like go towards your house?
No, it was never like that. There was nothing, no hidden secret that I could wouldn't be relayed up to the grapevine with Michelle, her
Oh,
girlfriend.
Michelle was
Yeah,
spilling all the tea, huh?
yeah. So if her mom would call Michelle Mobilia's house, and I'm assuming it could have been that she told her Michelle Mobilia's parents, "Look, I'm looking for my daughter. I know Michelle hangs out with her." And that's what I was assuming that's how through the grapevine she knew where
So
I was and she was going out.
so
I don't know
you
if
said
even Carrie told her mom that I was going out with her at the time.
so let me ask you this. So she ends up having a kid, right? Carrie Ann ends up having a baby, right?
Yeah,
What year did she have the
yeah.
baby?
This was some years like I'm gonna rough estimate 5 years
Uh-huh.
after I was going out with her in '90 that she was going out with a gentleman named Arrington. Arrington's was he was a colored kid,
Hmm.
and he was a cousin of a neighbor because Arrington used to live on my street,
Oh,
and I think his name was Brian Arrington, and
Brian Arrington?
yeah, it could
Wait,
have been Brian, but I know
Brian
his last name was yeah.
Brian.
He
So
was going out.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Brian
and
Arrington's
it's
from
true.
Lynn, isn't he? Isn't he a Lynn kid?
He could have, but at one time his mother and him was living at Alston Street, across the street from where I live.
I know a
But
Brian Arrington. He's from Lynn.
yeah,
He's a black
so
dude
this
too. He's a black dude.
this is true. Not Brian, but Brian's cousin is the one that had the baby with the kid.
Oh,
What's it? Kerry's kid is
I
I
thought it's
forget his name.
Raymond Hearn. Raymond Hearn.
Yeah, Raymond. Um, no, it's Steven. 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 Yeah,
The
Stephen
Steven.
father,
Hurst.
Stephen is the
Steven
son.
is
The father's name
Kerry.
is Raymond.
Yeah, right. Not
So
Ronnie and Raymond. Not Ronnie and Raymond. But Arrington's cousin, Brian Arrington's cousin, was the one that had Steven with Carrie Ann. So she did have a kid, and
So that did he lived on your street? That kid, her baby's dad lived on your street. You're saying, or no?
no, Brian,
Brian did.
his
Cousin.
cousin
Okay.
lived on the street. His older cousin.
So what
So
did that? When you
Brian
found out she
Arrington,
had a baby, now
uh,
let's keep it 100. You know, Somerville's a tough place. When you found out she had a baby with this kid, how did that make you feel? Was you upset?
I was just a little remorseful, a little envious, just for a small amount of time, and I was like in awe I was awed. Like I was, you know, emotionally surprised. I was like, wow, I can't believe she went out and had a kid because she's so young, and she was trying to leave
Well,
the
you said
crow's
it
nest.
was like, well, at that time, how old was she? At that point, she would have been what, like, if
Yeah,
it was
she
like
was. I
five
think
years,
she was.
like
Yeah,
21 or
like
something.
five
She had the
years
kid.
older. She
Oh,
was
so
like
like 20.
24 or 25 when she had
Oh,
Steven.
oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah,
So you never seen her after that? Did you run into her? Did you guys ever hook up? So
yeah.
let me say, like,
She came back
she
to the
what?
house. She
When? What
years
year?
later,
What year?
like like 1994 or 1995.
Oh,
She
94, 95. So you
Yeah,
guys started hanging out
1994,
again, huh?
1990.
You
Yes,
got your
somewhere
girl. You
there.
got your girl back,
No,
dude.
yeah, she came back to the house, knocked on the window, and she says, "Mine." And then I come out. I says, "Carrie Ann, it's been a long time. I haven't talked to you, and this and that."
Mm,
I was like,
no
"You're older
shit.
now." And I asked her, "What would you think of if we went out to, a bar or a restaurant, what have you, and had a drink? Just, She goes, "I don't drink." At the time, she wasn't drinking. She
Wow.
had her own car, and she was doing her own thing as a young kid, leaving her mother's
Hmm.
nest. Yeah, she was young when she left the crow's nest. She was like 18. She left
So
and
what you
she
guys do
did. She
that
tried to
night?
make
Did
it
you
on
did
her
so when you hung out that night? What happened that night? Did
own.
everything go smooth that night?
Yeah, everything went smoothly, and that was the last time I talked to her. That night, like 4 years later, she came to the window, knocked on the window. She goes, "Martin," I come out. I was like, "Hey, Carrie, this and that. It's been a long time. I haven't talked to you." And
She just knocked on your
just,
window randomly. You guys hung out that night.
yeah,
She stayed over. She stayed over.
no, 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 no. We just chatted outside the house, real quick, for like 10 minutes,
Did you
15
try
minutes.
to
And that
get?
was
Did you
it.
try to talk to her again?
No, no. I think I think I left a voicemail on her voicemail. I was like, "Hey, how's it going? I hope you
Oh,
and
what, at the
Steven
house?
are doing
At
fine."
the Downing residence?
I forget what number I had, but I had her phone number, and
Yeah, it probably was
somehow
at.
I got her voicemail, and I just said the last time I had ever talked to her was that night, and then also on the phone leaving a voicemail message with her, and that was the
Was you
last time I ever
so you
talked to
didn't find it
her.
odd she came to your house to talk to you and then you guys never talked again after that?
That's right, JF. That's the last time I talked to her, and then
But then
the
shortly
next
after
time
that,
I heard it from her,
the yeah,
not
shortly
from her,
after that is
about
yeah,
it.
after that, shortly after that is when Janet got murdered, right?
Yeah, that is correct. I believe that happened in 2096.
No, it
Was it?
happened it
If
happened
she
in
was
it happened in
murdered.
1995 it happened.
95, 90. I was close
Yeah.
1 year, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So she
And then I
so
saw it.
so what when would you say, like, was it months apart? Was it like 4 or 5 months apart she came to your house, like when she talked to you? Like how soon after did this crime take place? How soon after do you think?
It was like not very many years, but it was calendar years later, because I was going out with her in 1990, and
No,
then
but I'm
that
saying when
happened
you
like
talked to her, she came to your house. She came to your house in 95, right? So it had to be like within
94,
that
94, and
with
95. Yeah.
94. So well, yeah, so within
After
a
that,
year, was it within a year or within
yeah,
months? When do you think it was? 95 and 94. When do you
like
think
a little less than a year that the incident with her mother occurred, and it was all over
little
the news, the 5 o'clock news.
did you try to
And
reach
I
out
I
to her
remember.
after? Did you try to reach out to
No,
Kerry after her mother? No? Why not?
no, I was just like baffled that it happened, and I was like, I can't believe that went on,
Why
and I
wouldn't you
I
want
never
to try
really
to reach
talked
out?
about it.
But why wouldn't you try to
No,
reach
no,
out to Kerry to see how she was doing?
I wanted to stay away, apart from her, just to give her room, because her mother was found murdered in that home on Hamlet Street up in Prospect Hill.
Mhm.
And what happened was, now I know you know the story that Edward O'Brien was prosecuted by Tom O'Reilly, Middlesex District Attorney.
And let me stop you right there. Do you know Thomas Riley, the DA?
Tom
Did you ever?
O'Reilly? No, no.
You
I
never?
just
You
knew him
ever
from
had?
the summer courthouse. I
You
never
know him
talked
at?
to him in person
But you seen him over
from
there?
the summer. Yeah, he was a district attorney, I think, Middlesex district attorney at the time, and he was the
Mm,
one that he was fighting to get Eddie Edward prosecuted for the murder of Janet. And after the trial, as you know, she Edward O'Brien's mother, Ms. O'Brien, right, come clearly out and stated, she goes, Artie Ortiz is the one that killed Janet Down. Artie
right.
Ortiz is apparently Janet's brother, and I was telling Jason
Did you know? Did
that
you know Artie?
they were
Did you know
bickering
Artie?
over. No, I never met his brother. I only heard it through the grapevine, through
You
news.
never. Did you? But I'm saying you never met him. You never seen him. You never seen the cab parked in the
The
yard. None of
only
that stuff.
the only relative I ever met of Carrie Ann's was her aunt, who lived on Dane Street in Summit. She wanted me to she wanted us to house Carrie Ann to house it. Why her aunt went out with her husband for dinner over at a restaurant or something like that. So Carrie Ann was house sitting for her. She was
Mhm.
house sitting for her aunt. That's the only relative I knew. I never knew Artie Ortiz, but apparently, you know, word has it. I don't know if it was in the news or not, but Artie Ortiz was. They were bickering over the home on Hamlet Street.
How'd you find that out? How'd you find that out?
Through the grapevine, and this is true. Like I said, it was
What's
never
the
on the
but,
news.
but what's the grapevine?
Grapevine. Somebody told me. I think my landlord. Yeah, I think my landlord told me that they were fighting. They were bickering over money of the sale of the home on Hamlet Street, and he was. You know, it happens commonly that a family member will be dismembered from any royalties, what have you, of a sale of a home. And I think
You
that's
said
what
what? You
happened.
said what? What'd you say?
That
Dismembered?
dismembered as a
What?
family member, as
Oh, okay, yeah,
account for the will, and
right.
um, that was just hearsay. But like I was telling Jason, and I told him prior we talked, I'm still on the fence over whether it was Eddie O'Brien that did that or it was Artie Ortiz that did it. I can't even think of it. I give it thought, and I'm like, who would that be? Would it be her brother? Or was it crazy enough to know that Edward O'Brien, they call the midnight convenience store people, called the police on Edward, saying this kid came to Midnight Market convenience store in Union Square in Somerville, and said he just got jumped, and he had blood all over his hands that night that she was killed. He had blood on his hands. He said
Who
he's
did?
telling us Edward.
Edward did.
Yeah, Edward
Did
had
you ever
blood.
meet?
He had blood marks.
Did you ever meet little Eddie?
I think he went to the boys, or maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I've never met him in person. He just seems like a big kid, a big at a young age. He was just like he was like 6 foot, 6'1" at a young age, and that's
Mhm.
to me that's pretty tall. I'm only
How
5'5"
tall are you? Oh, you're only 5'5"?
with my shoes on. Yeah, and I'm
God
five
damn.
four.
I hear you.
By my license. My license says I'm 5'4".
God.
So Eddie was a big kid, and as has it, his grandfather at one time was the captain of the Somerville Police Station. So I think Edward, as you know, authorities they usually have more intelligence than the criminal. That I think they put two and two together. When Eddie was complaining that he got jumped that night, he was nervous and trying to hide something as bad as the incident that went on during the day, because it happened during the daytime. That she was during the day, and by nightfall, and it was
Wait a minute.
true.
Wait a minute. What happened? She got murdered during the day? You're saying?
it would happen during the day. And Edward's down at Midnight Market convenience store in Union Square.
Hold on,
Stumble,
no,
and
let's
the
back up a
police.
little bit. You said that
Yeah,
Janet, it was still light outside when Janet got murdered. You're saying?
it was during the day. And he like I said, he ended up down in Union Square, and the convenience store clerk was saying this kid's coming in probably because Jason said the grapevine says that the convenience store people are the one that called the Somerville police, saying that this kid is complaining that he had just gotten jumped, and he was relaying that to the Somerville policemen investigating the murder that happened during the daytime. During the night, he was saying, "Oh, I got jumped too. I got jumped too." So he was pleading his innocence. So like I said, I'm still on the fence because it waffles. If you think about it, JF, that a family member, right, bickering over a home, the sale of a home, and then there's no motive. I just thought of this. There's no motive, and I'm thinking there's no motive why Edward O'Brien would kill Janet Down. I don't think there is. He was only a
No,
neighbor as far as what I
right.
knew.
Well, they said it was a
Isn't that
sexual
weird?
obsession. Yeah, it is weird for sure.
That's not ruled out. That he had some sort of um uh, like secret admirer to Janet. He was secret admirer to Janet,
Well,
and
what would
could have
you say?
been there.
Was Janet a pretty lady back then? Like
She was
when you
very
seen her, was
attractive.
she very attractive?
Uh, so was yeah, she was very attractive as a young woman. She had, and then her brothers, Carrie Ann's brothers. She had two brothers, I believe, two of
Did
them.
you meet the others? Did you meet Paul and Ryan?
No, I've never met them. She only talked to her brothers.
Hmm.
Her brothers.
So you never
Apparently,
met
they
Eddie, and so let me say this. So you never talked to Kerry, and then after you found out um Janet was murdered,
yeah.
you never reached out to her ever. You never seen her ever in life after that. Never again.
No, I gave her space. I gave the family space, and I gave everybody who thought of that. It was like on the back
Didn't they
burner that
fight?
I was a
Didn't
boy.
they fight over the house after Janet died?
No, I picked her up one night and I was just I had a car at the time, so I went over her house. I said, "Can I come over?" I got my car. I had just bought a brand new Mustang, and
When was this? What year was
we
this?
was Hamlet Street. Where was what was the
What year
What
question?
was
year?
this? What
What
was
year?
this after?
Like
Was this after?
after I was going over in 1990, going into 1991. That I bought. Like I said, I was working at the time as a line cook, and my father allowed me co-sign for me for a Mustang
Oh,
5.0.
nice. So what happened?
Yeah, she liked it. I let her drive it. I let her drive my
Nice,
Mustang, my brand new Mustang LX. Yeah, she goes, "Can I
nice,
let me
bro.
drive?" It was a standard,
Was
so I had to show her how to drive a standard.
wasn't
Nice.
Kerry and Artie fighting about the house? That Kerry was saying the house is hers on Hamlet Street.
Yeah, I believe she got money, and I'm hesitant to tell you this, but the money she got, she blew through it. Yeah, that
How do
she
you know?
got from the sale of that home on Hamlet Street in Boston Avenue, Prospect Hill. That she blew
So
through it so
how'd you
fast.
find that out? Who told you that? The grapevine?
Somebody, a good friend, right? No, uh, doing well. Doing well. I'm on the phone. Oh, yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Guys.
you look like you ain't doing too well, so God help you out.
Thanks. Merry Christmas, man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, dude. Stay warm.
I will. Thank you. Guy gave me a cigarette.
There you
No, I got
go.
a lighter. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm in a
You would love
situation
Kevin.
where
You would love
I'm
Kevin
trying
Kev
to.
then.
Yeah, I loved Carrie, and I still do because. And real quick, I'll get this off my chest. What happened with her? Right, she was living in Lynn or Everett, Mass, or Lynn, Mass.
She was living in
She
Lynn.
goes
Yep.
out with a friend, and I'll get this off my chest. Well, just to get it off my chest. I felt so bad for her because she got stabbed that night by assault of a person that she was hanging out with.
Hmm.
Gary, a good friend of mine, a neighbor right down the street from where I was for like 48 years before I left the crow's nest. My mom sold that home on Alston Street. Told me that he goes, Martin, you would not believe what I heard, the story I heard. And I met up with Carrie Downing the day after this happened. She went out hanging out with a person, and I think they got into an argument over illegal use of illegal drugs. And she apparently I put two and two together, and I think everybody that heard the story put two and two together that she was nagging somebody about illegal use of drugs, and this person just snapped on her and started jabbing her into her abdomen. And she, my friend Gary says, I saw her the next morning, Martin, and she
So
looked
Carrie Ann got
very.
stabbed,
She got stabbed. Yeah,
just and
she in
her
her
mother got
abdomen.
stabbed, and her mother got stabbed. That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't it so cool? Coincidental as it is, yeah, that
Yeah,
is true,
yeah,
Jay.
yeah. That's crazy. So let me ask you this, right? You had no problem with Janet. Like, did you see Janet around town in Market Basket? Did you ever bump into her anywhere? Like after you were done, like not with Kerry, you never seen her?
No, I've never had a person to person, experience with her mom. The only experience was at my house at Alston Street when she was hanging out at my apartment.
Were you
And
mad that she was coming with how did she come off to you? Did she come off like was she strict? She like your opinion of her, was she a strict mother?
Yeah, she was very protective towards
Didn't she slap
her
you in the
daughter
face?
Carrie Ann. And she was, like I said, Carrie Ann was some nights she wouldn't even go home, and she wouldn't even call her mother and tell her where she was. The only way Janet ever got to find out where her daughter was by calling her Michelle's home and talking to her Michelle's parents. Where's my daughter? She never came home last night because she stayed over my house when I was going out with her, and I never brought the subject up or asked her in any way, shape, or form. Did you tell your mother I'm going out with her? And did you tell your mother? I didn't even think of it. That's how naive and
Did you ever go
young.
over? So you said that Carrie Ann came over to your house and knocked on the window, right?
Yeah, even
So
when we
what?
first met and started going out,
So did
she
she?
rang
Did
the
you
bell.
ever? How did you go to her
Was
house? Did you not? When you went to her house, was there a secret window you knocked on?
her at Hamlet Street? No, I was always afraid because of the what happened with Alston Street with some of
So
the
you never
policemen
ran into
coming to
you
the
never
home.
ran into Janet. You never ran into Janet on Hamlet Ave. Like you never seen her. Like I mean, like when you
No,
walked her home, you
I
never
was
seen her
always
on the
afraid
porch.
to go.
Was
No,
afraid.
the only
So why do you
place
think?
I ever
Why do you?
saw Janet Turner was in my backyard that night when she was trying to retrieve her daughter from my apartment. I thought I was going to get in trouble, but like I said, lo and behold, the policeman side with on my side saying that there's no law being broken because she's not being held against her will. Like if I was keeping her there when she didn't want to be.
Now,
In other
Carrie
words,
Ann never said that. So, Carrie, no, why do you think Carrie Ann came to your house that night randomly and knocked on your window? Like, was you surprised and
she
you haven't
liked me.
seen her for so long?
She liked
Even
she
after
liked
all them years and had a baby and all that, she still came to your house?
Yeah, when we first started going out, she really liked me, but by the end of the relationship, the 2 weeks got. I was going out. I was seeing her. I was working. I was working as a line cook. She was going to school. She was 16, and she really
But
liked the new
I'm talking about in 19,
girlfriend relationship.
I'm talking
But
about in
after that
1995.
2 weeks, yeah, after in '95, she never liked me. After that, she
No, I'm
never
saying
liked
when
me.
she
She
came
dumped
to
me.
but when she came to your house and knocked on your window around 94,
Yeah,
95, right? Why do you think she
she
came to
was
your
in good.
house?
She was in a good mood, and she was not mad at me no more because it was so long since we were going out with each other, and she
And you
wanted to
guys
make
just
amends.
she made amends with
She was
you?
with Gary. with Gary, the kid that explained to me, told me the story of when she got in trouble going out with a friend one night, got stabbed, and she looked a mess the next morning. He goes, when I saw her the next morning, it did not even look like it was her. And you know what she told her? Told him, she goes, why didn't you ever marry me to Gary? And Gary, she goes, you should have went after Steve Holgate, because Steve Holgate was a boyfriend of Carrie Ann Downing's before she was going out with Steve Holgate before she was going out with me. Before she was boyfriend and girlfriend with me. And then what happened was, she goes, why didn't you ever, go after Stephen Holgate for what he did to me? In other words, she didn't know what she was saying. Gary was right that he didn't even, she was unrecognizable the following day after that happened. And this was just recently. This was like, I think I was told, here it is, 2025. This happened with Carrie Ann, that she got stabbed, and she went out one night and she got in trouble with hanging out with somebody she shouldn't, at the wrong place at the wrong time. That happened in 2024.
Oh, she got stabbed in 2024.
2024. This happened.
So you found this.
Yeah.
You found this. You found this about Kerry in 2024. So you've been still, people still been talking about Kerry, associate Kerry with you all these years, huh?
Yeah, and the grapevine is now that, as you know, JF and Jason, you probably know this too, that Edward O'Brien would have been granted parole if he admitted his guilt that he killed Janet, Ms. Down,
Yeah,
right?
but what I don't get is, how do you and Kerry have the same exact criminal record?
I don't think some of the record,
Like up until 24, you have the same record.
Yeah, I don't know how that was. I don't know how that ever got to be like that.
So you
The
never
only-
hung out with Kerry ever. So in 2024, you know a lot about. I think what Jay Brouillon's trying to say is right, but instead of putting it into riddles, he's basically saying that you know a lot about Carrie Ann. So you're saying in 1990. So let me get this straight. You're saying in 1990 you went out with her, then you broke up with her in 91 or whatever, right? And it was only for like 2 weeks you went out with her, and then randomly in 1995 she knocked on your window. You guys made amends, and then you never seen her again after her mother died. But yet you still know a lot about her. But you still know a lot about her to this day. So what Jay Brouillon's trying to understand is you didn't talk to her. You guys don't talk at all, right? You guys don't hang out or nothing like that, right?
If I met up with her today, she would say something like, "Hi, it's been a long time." It would never go on like any sort of attempt to have what it was back in 1990. Like I said, she was excited about the new good boyfriend girlfriend relationship. I was too. I was young.
When she came to your,
my battery charge at jail.
What you say?
My battery charge. I think I got 2% on my battery charge.
Shit.
So
let me ask you this: you only got 2% left of your battery?
Yeah.
God damn. Let me ask you this: did you ever write any letters to Janet Downing?
No, I never even talked to her person to person. The only, like I said, the only experience I ever had with her was in the backyard when she actually had some of the police cop.
Did you have a computer? Did you have a computer at your house? Did you have a computer at your house?
Back then, the only thing we ever had was landline. 1990. They never had cell phones. I like cell phones. Metro
What
PCS.
What if I told you there's a lawyer? What if I told you that there's a lawyer, right, that has letters from you to Janet Downing saying that you were gonna kill Janet Downing? What would you say about that?
It's not true. I never I never had beef with her, a grudge. Sorry, there
So
was no remorse.
if I pulled up, so you never,
Everything
so you
had
did you
remorse.
ever hear a? Let me ask you this, because I know you, and I'm not trying to cut you off. You only got 2%, so I'm trying to get these questions out there, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
Chad, bear with me. You got 2% left, so I'm trying to get to the real question. So,
Okay.
are you aware that there's letters out there? Did anybody ever ask you about these letters before? Is this the
No,
first time
nobody
you're ever
asked.
hearing about it?
I'm not. I wouldn't. I'm not even worried about it because I was
Is this
never.
the first time? Is this the first time you're hearing it?
Yes, yes. JF. It's
You
the first
never
time
heard
I ever
about
heard.
letters?
I never wrote a letter. I never wrote any letters. I never
Even
even wrote
after
a
her
letter
death?
to Carrie Ann. The only, like I said, the only remorse or grudge
So
that
what if I found
happened was between girlfriend and boyfriend. It was
so
never like hate between
what if I
family
showed
members.
you a letter? What if I showed you a letter with your handwriting and saying that you wrote it? What would you say then?
I'd be baffled if it was my handwriting, because I
Okay.
don't remember.
You
I
don't
don't
remember?
remember doing it, and I sure as hell I know for a fact that I did.
Hey,
I
let me
just
ask
never.
you a
I never.
question.
Yeah.
Will you sign a release for me to talk to your lawyer to waive all client privilege?
Um. I don't know. I would have to, get my own lawyer, see what he says. I can't even afford
Well,
it,
it's just
right?
for me. It's just for me to talk to him so he can tell me if those letters are true or not.
Maybe, maybe not. Oh, it went out. It went out.
Mm. Yeah,
Damn.
his phone's there. Hold on, he's still on. Yeah, his phone died.
Goddamn.
Damn. I mean, I didn't want to line the question up that way, you know what I'm saying? I was leading up to them questions, but I mean he only had 2%, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, no.
I had to do what I had to do. So people that are familiar with this case knows that we've been working on it. We found out through Margot Nash that there's alleged letters from Martin Lawrence. Wrong guy. Martin
God.
Landry. God damn. Damn, my bad, Martin. Martin Landry. Um, that wrote letters to Janet Downing in a space and time before and after, alleged saying that, he wanted her to die and that he wants to keep the letters forever because just in case he got to confess to his sins or something like that, right, guys? Do you guys hear any feedback or anything like that right now? Am
He,
I good?
he wants to remember
Yeah, no,
what he
you're good.
did, supposedly.
Yeah, remember what he did. So,
Yeah, you're good. He seems to have a pretty damn good memory.
but he don't remember that.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to double down too with, that that client privilege kind of thing. You might want
Well,
to
here's the
check
main thing.
yourself.
Here's the main thing. That's not the main thing, right? The main thing is this, and we got to that answer. Me and Jay Brill talked behind the scenes. Was there any contact between him and Carrie Ann during the space and time of the murder of Janet Downing? He says yes, there was. So she comes to his house randomly, allegedly knocked on his window. This is what he's saying. 6 months. 6 months could be a month. 6 months could be 2 months. 6 months could be 1 week that he talked to her in that space and time.
Yep.
So if he would tell us, if he would have told us, nah, I never talked to her after 1991, I would say, okay, I don't, maybe
Yeah.
these letters, we do know based on what we see him, we know that he has, he has some, he has a disorder, put it that way. He has a disorder. And so we got to honor that. And he seems like a nice guy. But we did find out that he did talk to Carrie Ann in that space and time. So does that mean he wrote letters? I don't know. It seemed he did also say he still loves her. And if you ask me, based on what, if you were going to say, what do I get out of that conversation? I feel like maybe that was the last time his disorder wasn't as, or whatever happened during that time was powerful enough to affect him. And he hasn't moved on from that space and time. It seems like he's still in that space and time, the way he talks about it, the way he knows about Carrie Ann, the way he knows she got stabbed. And Jay Brilliant goes, I don't understand how you have, similar cases than she has on her criminal
Same
record,
exact criminal record. Same exact.
like as if they were arrested together.
Like Bonnie and Clyde, yes.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde. Well, we wouldn't know, but you got to go do a FOIA report on that and see if he had a co-defendant. You know what I mean? That's public record. You can get a police
Okay.
report and see if she was arrested with him. You know what I mean? But
Well, see, that boom is right. That would open up a can of worms if it shows.
yeah,
that they
if she
were,
was arrested with him, if she was arrested with him at any given time, and he's saying that he never talked to her after that, I don't know, man. For him to know a lot about her but never reach out to her after she got stabbed. Like I said, he has a disorder. Maybe it's just the way he thinks. That's his mind. We got to understand he has, I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I still want him to come on the show and continue this conversation. So I'll just say the disorder. But you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. But we do know that there were letters: Margot Nash, distinguished, elegant, intelligent. Margot Nash claims that these letters are 1,000% they're real. And if he wrote them, we do know he has a disorder, like I said. But
And he told the
we do
lawyer
know-
he broke up with her in 97.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like he's intelligent enough to keep details out. So I don't know if the disorder has anything to do with him keeping details out, or it seems like he's pretty smart to me. But like I said, I'm not gonna really go in right now on what I feel about this conversation, because I would like for him to charge his phone, and I would like for him to come back up, get him a cash app, get him some dollars in his pocket, and continue this conversation. Put him in a space where he can maybe go to Starbucks or something, buy a coffee, sit down with a phone charger, not out in the freezing cold like he is right now. I had no idea that he was going to be in the cold.
Me either.
With no money. I didn't know that he was that messed up in the game right now. So that kind of messes with the conversation as far as trying to think straight. You know what I mean? As far as he goes, because
kind of also shows he's in a tough spot too.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. So we got to respect that. So if we could put a couple of bucks in his cash app, get him to a Dunkin' Donuts or something where he can get a phone charger, be warm, loosen him up a little bit, and maybe there's some details he's forgetting.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he hit a couple of good spots, though. I mean, just like you're saying, to break down that time frame, we knew one of the sisters lived in Lynn. I mean, that kind of corroborates that story.
Carrie Ann lived in Lynn.
Yeah, right around the corner from myself, to be honest with you. Crazy how to find out that she was assaulted, with a knife over a discrepancy, He knew about her getting some money and spending it too. I mean,
he's in Danvers.
They did have some kind of contact.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be. I'm about to jump on a bird. Lord willing, I get on this bird. Got some issues right now, but I got to get on this bird real soon, man. But I figured during the day is a better time to speak to him, and we have to act fast because you never know what's gonna happen in life. And as of right now, he's saying that there's no letters, but yet when we asked him about his lawyer, he said, "I have to get a lawyer." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said it's the first time he ever heard of these letters.
Did you kill Janet Downey?
Absolutely not.
So you're adamant you didn't kill Janet
Very
Downey.
adamant. And if you really look at the evidence, you'll see the truth.
What's the truth?
The truth is that I didn't do anything.
That's all.
I was always under the impression that I was going to testify and I was going to tell my story.
Why didn't you?
Well, it was almost the last day of the trial when I was just told, don't worry, they didn't prove their case, so you don't have to testify. At the end of the day, this place really doesn't matter. This isn't reality. Reality is out there where my family and friends are.
Four or 5 hours after to get the kitty litter box and the kitten.
You're a little man, and your life will always suck because of you. You're a rat. And you're not ruining my life, because my life is still fucking good. Unlike yours. And that's the best revenge. My life is going to be good, and yours is going to continue to suck, because you're a piece of shit. You'll turn on your friends. You don't even know what friendship is. You're a rat. I ain't crying.
You wrong. You wrong. Hey, man, what's up, guys? Kevin from South Boston.
What's up, Kevin? From
Lost in a dream, don't know which way to go. If you were all that you seem, then baby I'm moving way too slow. I've been a fool before, wouldn't like to get my love caught in the slamming door. How about some information, please? Oh, straight up now tell me, do you really wanna love me forever? Oh, am I caught in a hit and run? Straight up now tell me, is it gonna be you and me forever?
Becky says he's right that she got the money from the sale of the house. So him knowing how she spent the money a year later supports that he's talking. Well, yeah, it supports it, definitely. And it also supports, even if he wasn't talking to her, it supports that he wants to know about her. He had a good enough relationship to, like I said, I feel like from that conversation, what I could take from it and what I'm willing to speak about right now is that whatever happened in that space of time, he holds on it. He holds dearly to it. You know, you're talking about a teenage love, even a young adult love. You know, you're in your 50s. You know, I mean, obviously, based on the situation, what I seen, I don't know where his disorder took him, what path his life went down, but it seems like it took a dramatic change. I don't know if he went on to have kids. I don't know if he went on to have a career. I don't know. But as of right now, things are looking a little shaky for him. I don't know if it's always been like that. Word is it has, but I didn't hear it from him, so I really can't speak on it. But that space and time definitely holds a dear place to his heart. He says he still loves Carrie Ann. One person who didn't want Carrie Ann with him in that space of time was Janet Downer, ladies and gentlemen. Free Kelsey says, can you ask him what year that happened to Kerry? Well, Free Kelsey, that happened in 2024. Does he remember writing letters to Janet? Well, you came in hot with that right off the bat. Becky came in hot with that. We were lining that up, Becky. Thank God he wasn't looking at the chat. He might have jumped off. Ah, damn, Becky. He would have seen that in the chat and said, yo, hold on a minute. I got another phone call. Merry Christmas, and thank you for keeping us rocking, for sure. Member for 12 months. There he is. What up, Kevy Kev?
Goddamn, what's happening?
Aunt B coming in hot. Jason, use this towards his lunch, phone charger, whatever, while he's talking. Everyone put what you can before he disappears. Money makes people talk. Free Eddie. Absolutely. We got him. We'll send him something. I mean, I don't want to assume that he's lying. I mean, you got to ask yourself this question. You guys take your due diligence, right? And rewind this, play it on replay 4 or 5 times, and you tell me what you think. You tell me if he's manipulating or he's just being himself. You tell me what it is. I don't know. I don't have the letters in my possession because of client privilege, but I do trust Margot Nash that these letters do exist. And I think the next step is to get these fucking letters. Right, Jay Brill?
I'm on it. So this is phone charged. I'll be talking to him.
Yeah, I agree. I think the letters would be, it'd be something that we could really question on,
Because I'm pretty sure once I get that release, the lawyer will come on the show. I think.
Well, not the lawyer. The lawyer is the guy who worked for the lawyer.
Yeah, whoever it is.
Yeah, the lawyer.
Yeah,
the lawyer's
he must have been like a personal paralegal or something that the guy had.
No, I think he was a private investigator or something. Maybe I don't know. That's what that's what I think he was, but I don't know. That's just my assumption.
The only other things I picked up on was he never mentioned Boston Street. He always mentioned Hamlet Street. So I don't know if he.
Whoa! Calm the fuck down.
Wow, Kevy Kev.
God damn, Kevy Kev. I want everybody to understand something too. Jay Brill, what's your cash app real quick? Go around the room. If you guys want to support Jay Brill in his investigated efforts, Jay Brill, tell him your cash app right now, my brother. Throw it in the chat.
Jason BM90.
Everybody check out Jason BM90. Go show him some love.
This is his cash app right here. Jason BM90 on the cash app. I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, this is a message from the flight deck. If you like what Jay Brilliant is doing and you like how we're rocking J.F.K, Kevy Kev, it's Jason BM90 on the cash app. Once again, that's Jason BM as your baby's mama. 90. Jason BM90 on the cash app. And don't forget about the one and only, the man of the hour, Kevy Kev 781 on the cash app, of course. Kevy Kev 781 on the cash app on the bottom ticker below. I got to get Jason BM in there too. But yes, I did hear that too. He did mention Hamlet Street a lot. And that right there is a very, very great point. But Norman Corey says, his face changed the second time you asked the question. He had a smirk. But my money is still on Adi. The key in the yard is huge. Yes. I know we ended up saying it. Great job and Merry Christmas, my guys. Money for premium, JFK. Laugh out loud.
And the only reason why I bring that up about the Hamlet Street thing is like, I mean, if he wasn't welcome there, I mean, I could see Carrie Ann chilling with him, at the bulkhead in the back of the house.
Yeah, but he said he never. But I asked him that. I asked him if he ever hung out in that back of the house. Did he ever go to a sneaky spot of the house? Did he ever knock on her window? He was real quick to say no. I mean, it's like if the letters do exist and I mean, you got to ask yourself this question. So she knocked on his window in 95, and then the mother gets murdered, and then he wanted to give her space. I mean, I think at that time, you would kind of want to talk to her, right? And be like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, right? You know?
Oh,
Or,
definitely.
I mean, especially if the last time you seen her, you guys made amends and you ain't got nothing going on as far as a female companion goes, why not reach out to it? Because, you know, it seemed like he was open in that space and time. I mean, shit, even to this space of time, it seems like he's open to have a relationship with her in some sort of way, whether it's friend, boyfriend, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to shit on Marty L. I'm not
No.
here to assume things. I don't know. I don't know. It could be, ladies and gentlemen, as simple as that. And then keep in mind, it could be as simple as Eddie O'Brien killed Janet Downer. That's always on the plate. Always remember that. And I'm not saying that's what I believe. Be clear. This fucking claimer, okay, before you get your head all warped.
I mean,
like, go ahead, Kevin.
what I wanted to say too that was on my mind. I know you're gonna end up dipping on us soon, but you know, like he was talking about how, you know, every time they hung out, you know, he was always, you know, all about sex. Like, you know, she kind of was like, she got aggravated with that, but then she had a baby boy. It was almost like, you know, I mean, in my head, you know, could he have been saying like, what's wrong with me? Like, why couldn't we had a son together?
I think that, Kev, I agree with you. I think that Jay Brilliant thought that. I thought that. I probably, the whole chat probably thought that. But you know what? We're not going to, I don't want to press it too hard because we still got to talk to him. You feel me?
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I just see, you know, he said he loved it. He still loved it. He wanted to get it off his chest a little bit and get it out there, air it out, you know.
You can ask him that. You can
yeah.
ask him that question. But I could have asked him that. That was in the holster. I could have pulled that out. You know, do you think that, you know, you should have been, you know, all that. But, you know, we're trying to get down to the bottom of one thing. I don't like the way the phone died. I don't like doing my line of questioning like that. Do you know about the letters? Like, that sounds corny and shit. I don't like that. You know, I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to,
Is
I
he
thought the
still
conversation,
local?
yeah, he's actually not too far from where you're at. He's in Danvers. Not too far from where I'm at. I'm in the LY Dub, man. I'm over here at Primo's, man. I just had a 3-way.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah, man. I had to get a 3-way before I jumped on the bird, son. Ain't no 3-ways in ATL, son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good for tonight though, too, bro. I'm good. I got it all planned out. So I'm good. If the you know what you've been asking me. I'll talk to you behind the scenes. But yeah. But yeah, man. You know, I'm still, let me see, what time is it? I still got a little bit of time. My flight got delayed. I was supposed to have an earlier flight, and that shit got delayed as fucking usual. Hopefully, it ain't delayed anymore. I don't want to be. Okay. I hate.
No, I think I'll tell you, man. I mean, and if Martin's still out there listening, or he's sitting with somebody listening and shit, and he can't jump in, yeah, I respect the fact that he came up here, you know, put himself on camera, you know, and was able to answer some of our questions. I mean, there are, you know, Martin, there is a few more things we want to ask you. And
yeah, I mean, why don't you hit him up? Did he get his? But that's the thing. He probably don't even got his phone charged. He has to go somewhere to charge it. Like I said, you know, and you can't get a hold of him right now because his phone's dead. You know, so
right. I'm gonna wait a few and I'll hit him up.
It's a tough situation. You know, it really is.
Yeah, man. But I mean, like you just said, I mean, if it's not that far, the dude wants to meet up, get a roast beef or something, fucking, you know. Maybe it's.
I mean, let me tell you something. If I was in town for another night, man, I would already be going towards his way. You know what I mean? I would have already been on that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Let me tell you something. If I lived out here still, man, there'd be fucking Adi would be in the passenger seat, tied up. Oh, disclaimer. Hold on a minute. Hold on.
With a fucking dog leash. With a fucking dog leash, Adi.
What about the fucking kid? Damn, Adi, I know you're watching. But you know, it's quick to he was quick to say he doesn't know Adi though either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, did we ask him if he smoked weed?
I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Like the main, like he knows a lot about her, but he doesn't know, like, you know, he knows a lot about the Eddie story. And, you know, I don't know where Artie was in the life. It could just be as simple as a disorder. He just knows a lot about that space and time, man. But he just doesn't know Artie. I feel like you would know Artie. I would feel like that. I mean, he doesn't live too far from the street, you know? And then, like, the thing is, man, Gina didn't know him either, she said. Did Danny know him? That's another question.
Gina knew him.
Yeah, she knew him, but, like, she didn't know him, no.
Carrie Ann's boyfriend, though.
What's that?
Gina knew him as Carrie Ann's boyfriend.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, he didn't hang around that neighborhood. He said he hung around Cross Street, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder what's up with the chick Michelle that was spilling all the tea. He said her name a bunch of times too.
Yeah, she seemed to be like the one that Janet would reach out to, like, you know, hey, where's Carrie Ann tonight? Do you know where she is? Was she with you? Did she meet up with you?
And he keeps, and there's something that stuck out to me, and it's been on my mind, and I may as well just say it because enough was said tonight, but today, and I know you picked up on it, Jay, bro. And I'm gonna put the music on for this one. There's two things, but I'll say the first thing. You said that Janet Downing was killed in the daytime.
Yep.
Now that coincides perfectly with the timeline, because we all know in July it gets dark at 8:30.
That's right.
Which means is
8:30,
8:30, 8:45. So someone to do that, some type of shit that they did to Janet, it would take a little bit of time, wouldn't it?
And the other thing, before Jay Brill speaks up, is that, you know, he said that Artie had blood all over his hands.
Mm-hmm. And he also said, no, he said Eddie did.
That's right. Eddie had blood all over his hands.
And he also said,
yeah.
But he also said he was 5'5". And keep in mind that Eddie said that when unless it was reversed, unless Eddie said it was a short guy, and the cops lied and said it was a tall guy. Because he said it was a tall guy.
I was gonna say no one's tall. You know, when you a tall guy.
Yeah, but if you're 5'5", I mean, I'm just saying. Eddie thinks I'm short, and you know, I mean, I'm a mid-sized guy. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm 5'11". I'm not 6 feet. But if you're 5'5", you know, you're basically short, right? And which is cool. But he's saying he's short, so that could have been where the cops, if they got him in the scope, they could have wrote that he was a big guy, he was a tall guy, because you know, like what I'm saying is, you wouldn't say, oh, he was 5'11", he's tall. And you wouldn't say he's short either. You would say he's about 5'11", right? You would say he was like, you know, I'm a 6 feet, right? But if someone's short, you're going to say short or tall. And he's short. So did the cop lie and say when he said tall, he really said short? You feel what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he said he's 5'5". That's something.
He just texted me and sent me his Cash App and asked me to ask you to send him money so he can get something to eat.
Of course.
And I told him to come back on. He said, okay.
All right.
So he might be jumping back on right now. So.
All right.
Yeah, I'll throw him something on his Cash App too. Like to see him come back up.
Oh, he's back up. He's in.
Nice.
Marty, the one-man party. We got you, bro, on the Cash App.
Thank you.
Are you
Trying to get
warm now? Your
some
phone charging? You warm?
Say again, Jason.
I said, are you somewhere where your phone's charging and you're warm?
Yeah. I walked down where I bought my Bluetooth at Target.
All
and
right,
they got port for my phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Martin, so let's get into
going
that
back
for
to
a
the
second.
to the subject, right?
Yep, go ahead.
So I never feared. Like I said, the only bickering I have grudge or remorse was it was between, like I said, I was trying to say, make my point real quick, it was just girlfriend boyfriend relationship, bickering and fighting. I never really, like, family members wise, like Janet, Artie, her aunt, where I met just for a short amount of time, but she was house sitting for her, and I came over to her aunt's house and house sat with Kerry that night. But it was never like a family member remorse. You know, it was never like hate towards Janet, Edward. I never met Edward, but I just knew, as you know, that he was a big kid at the time, as a young kid, and you know, awing enough, they were always like saying it, like, you know, maybe even over exaggerated. Wow, that he's a big kid, and you know, the last I heard was what everybody else heard, and I don't think it wasn't a news story, but it was a newspaper article. I remember reading it at a friend's house where I was renting a room off a friend. A newspaper article saying that he could have got the opportunity for parole if he admitted the guilt of the incident with the murder of Janet, where she got murdered. If he admitted it and he denied it, I'm sure you have that information too. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But he's like, he denied it. He goes, I'm never gonna admit the guilt of the incident with Janet where she got murdered. He denied him his parole.
So yeah, I heard that. So let me ask you this: Midnight Variety, right? You've been inside there?
Yeah, I've been in there.
Now, what's up? Is it like they say there was like a big porn room back there? Like it was disgusting back there? What was it like in there? Would you say it was like an adult store?
Yeah, it was an adult store, halfway decent convenience store and adult store. Both.
Now they sold knives in there.
Knives, critiques, right? Pipes, adult magazines, stuff like that.
Would you say that? Would you want a 15-year-old kid working in there? Do you think he should have been working in there?
Edward?
Yeah, you think he should have been working in there?
I didn't know he worked there.
Yeah, he worked there.
Yeah, I didn't even know. Jason told me that it wasn't him that made the 911 phone call, calling the police on himself. That it was them at the convenience store that called 911 that night, the night the incident happened. I didn't even know that. I wasn't even aware of that. I thought, and this is true. What my thinking was that he called 911 on to report that he was jumped. But apparently, Jason was saying that he went in there frantically the night the incident happened, during the night, because it happened during the day, and they found out, they put two and two together, including his grandfather. Because his grandfather, like I said, was, what I was told, was a former Somerville captain of the Somerville Police Department at one time. His grandfather, he had family that were policemen. His grandfather was a cop, and I think Edward's family, some of his family, maybe his grandfather, maybe his, not his parents, because his parents still plead that of his innocence, including his mom, expressively. She come out right on the news the day he was convicted by Tom O'Reilly, Middlesex District Attorney prosecutor, for the conviction of killing Janet Downing. And
did Tom Riley ever prosecute any of your cases?
No, I've never been prosecuted by Tom O'Reilly. Apparently his word of credibility, his whatever he's got a good. What I'm trying to say, make my point real quick, is he's got a good word of credibility. Apparently enough to put Edward away for that incident. He never. And I'm just assuming that Tom O'Reilly never assumed Edward's innocence. He prosecuted. He made sure he was prosecuted completely charged with the incident. He was like the biggest contesting the O'Brien family. Tom O'Reilly, Middlesex District Attorney at the time. They couldn't put around it. They could not put around Tom O'Reilly as prosecutor or district attorney, attorney representing judge, stuff like that.
So let me ask you this: what if now you're saying that Tom Riley he had credibility, right?
Sorry to correct you. It's
not O'Reilly. It's
Riley.
It's Riley, not O'Reilly.
It's Riley.
I stand corrected then. JF,
No,
I stand corrected.
No, it's fine. It's fine, brother. So back to the letters, right? It comes to our attention that you had a lawyer, right, and that he found letters that you wrote. Jay, bro, you want to talk about the letters? What it says in the letters? One of them says that you saved the letters so you could what?
So you can remember about what you did.
So you can remember what you did.
I never had guilt like guilt in any of the incident with her being murdered, and I never had remorse. The only thing is that I could say, if I ever needed to seek counsel, is that the police officer that came to the house that night side on he vouched as side on my behalf.
So let me ask you a couple questions.
So there was no lobby. There was no law being broken because I was never held Carrie Ann against her will at the apartment that I lived in.
Let me ask you a few questions that was told to me.
Go ahead, Jay.
You hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Did you tell someone in '97 that you broke up with Carrie Ann 3 weeks before Janet's death?
No, I wasn't going nowhere for that one. It was only a two-week relationship, and
but you never told anybody.
I still wanted to go over, but she ended up not. She didn't want to go out with me, and she dumped me. That's the bottom line to that. It was only.
You don't remember speaking openly about those letters?
No, to anyone? No.
Yeah.
I never even heard about the letters that were written.
Do you remember speaking to someone in Attorney Small's office?
Hey, and this is true. All right, I'll lower my voice. I would take a polygraph saying that I never had any remorse with the Dowling family for the relationship that I had with Janet's daughter, Carrie Ann. I never had any remorse. It was never you know, revengeous. I was never revengeous because her mother was protective to her daughter, and that's how Janet was, as I understood it.
Right, but did you speak to someone in Attorney Small's office in '97 about all this?
No, I never spoke to an attorney ever about it. You, Jason, you were the first one that told me of the written letters that apparently I could write something, and I can almost I can't guarantee it because I haven't saw the letters that you're speaking of. That
All right.
it matches up to my handwriting, but I've never
No,
written.
you don't even have to do that. All you have to do is sign a paper that I have that's gonna waive your client privilege, and your attorney can speak to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would it be? Would it be
I have the letter
electronic
already. All
signature?
you have to do is sign it, and then I can
Is
have
it
your
an
attorney
electronic
speak to me
signature?
about it.
Electronic signature.
No, I'm gonna meet up with you, and you can sign it.
Yeah. I have nothing to hide. I never
Okay.
had anything to hide, and it's true. Um, so I have nothing to hide.
When will
I
you
never
be
even
available
talked
to
to
meet up
her.
with me? Tomorrow?
I can do that, and it would just be a matter of if on my behalf of a counselor that said this handwriting is exactly my handwriting, I would be baffled. I'd be like, I don't know how that happened. I just
Yeah,
don't know.
Martin,
And it's true.
that would be a big thing, Martin, just to clear
Oh yeah,
that up.
clear your name. You can sign the release that I have. I'll talk to your attorney. He can show me all the stuff that he has, and if it's not true, it's not true. You're cleared.
Yeah, I would have no problem signing something because
All right. So can I meet up with you tomorrow?
I have nothing to be ashamed. I have nothing to no secret, hidden secret to hide. That I hated her for any reason whatsoever. But
If
yeah, I would
if
sign
I get
something.
on the Danvers tomorrow after I get out of work, will you meet up with me?
I'm located and so I'm in the process of moving from Danvers to Somerville.
Back to Somerville?
Yeah, I'm in Somerville now. I reside
I'll meet you
right
wherever
now.
you're at.
My place of residence is the McGrath Highway Bridge. I'm
Maybe we
supposed
can
to
meet
see
at Burger King.
Burger King. Yeah, that's fine. That's
All right.
why I met my landlord yesterday. There.
So let me ask you
He
this:
borrowed me.
do you think Midnight Convenience was a great place? I mean, a good place for a
No,
15-year-old to work at.
no, I didn't even know Eddie worked there.
No, but do
I
you
did not
think it
even
was
know.
like? No, I'm saying, was it a
Do
raunchy
I
place?
think that?
Do you think that Eddie should have been
Yeah,
working there, like as a young kid? Do you think it was raunchy? You think it was like too much for a young kid to be there to like process?
it was
You know,
unethical. Yeah, I think it was unethical, immoral for a young kid to work at a place where they sold adult entertainment books or, critiques, pipes, pot
did you?
pipes,
Now
and
they
stuff
had
like
knives.
that.
Did you collect knives?
No, I never, I've never carried a knife for a guy. I never thought I
Never.
had to. Never.
Now,
I
what about
always
the
thought
getting jump? What about
that the
getting the
person,
jump story?
my enemies, I never worried about because I know I could fight. I know how to fight as a young kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not the toughest kid on the street, but I know how to fight and protect my own person.
So back then, Martin, what was the temperature of the square? I mean, do you think Eddie got jumped that night? I mean, was it like that out
Do I
there in
think?
'95?
I think there was a bullshit story that
Oh, yeah?
Eddie called, and this is true. It happens with young kids, young adults, young male persons, let's say, because I can't speak for young female person. But I think He called the police on his own, on himself. That's what I was putting, and I'm trying not to, emotionally straightforward. All kidding aside, I think he called the police on himself for the incident of a murder. MO.
So you think he did it?
I think just by nervousness, the amount of nervousness. But like I said earlier, and I said this prior, there was no motive for him to do that. The only motive that he ever had was it was just an attractive adult female person who was his neighbor. That's it. That's the only motive I knew of. I didn't even know the relationship that just because Edward O'Brien came from Janet Downey's neighborhood, that was possible that he had a crush on her, and then what have you. But there was never motive, and my thing was there was never no motive. The only thing that I was told that the day of the incident, he was talking to police, and he was saying, "I got jumped too. I got jumped too," and nobody even I don't think that ever came into play.
Why do you keep saying that the police sided with you, that she was being never held against her will? Why do you think that's a big issue to point out? Do you feel that you were 18, you were too old? She was 16, 18 by law. I mean, 18, 16, to me, it's the same shit. But them 2 years, 18 and 16, do you think by law that was a problem? Is that the reason why you keep jumping on that? Like, why do you keep saying
that's
that?
That's the only thing that I have that the police vouched on and on my behalf, saying that, ma'am, there's no he's not breaking the law because she's not being held against her will.
But how long was she at your house for at that time? How long was she staying? Yeah. Whoa. How long, man down? How long was she at your house before the police came to your house? A day, 2 days?
She was staying there almost like every other day. She was staying overnight. But
so she was staying overnight. So did that make you upset? Was you like up against Janet? And did you ever write a letter? Did you ever write a letter saying Janet deserved to die?
No, I never wrote that. I never wrote anything like that. The only contact that I ever had with Carrie, Janet, or not Janet, but I never, wanted to communicate or talk to Janet for any reason. She was just being protective with her daughter, and the only reason why I'm saying back to the principal point being that was the only plea of innocence at the time that they side on my behalf as a policeman. He said, as long as he's not being holding her against her will, there's no law being broken. He's not in trouble.
So she stayed there? Did she stay there?
Yeah. But like I said,
did she stay? Wait a minute. Did she stay after that happened?
Yeah.
So she stayed with you, and she didn't. She came back.
Going out with her after that happened. Yeah.
But you said it only lasted for 2 weeks.
It did only last for 2 weeks, and then afterwards,
don't you think that was kind of fast? Well, hold on, but don't you think that was kind of fast though? Like, she's staying at your house every other night, but the relationship only lasts 14 days. Like, I don't understand.
Do I think that? What am I going to say? You have to go over me.
No, I'm teasing,
but I'm saying in 14 days.
Did you know her before that?
No, but I'm saying you're saying that you was going out with her for 14 days at that point, and she was staying at your house every other day within that 14-day window. So don't you think it was moving kind of fast?
She was excited about the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. I was too, but you know what I mean. It only was like our relationship. It was solid for 2 weeks. After that, she was like, "No, I don't want to go out with you." And I was like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't say anything. I was, I couldn't force her to go out. So when she broke up with me, she didn't talk to me. There was remorse between each other.
did you guys still hang out and did you get any, have you guys ever gotten in any trouble together?
No. After that, no. The only time, she made it on her own because she left the crow's nest before I left the crow's nest at my house, and she was only 16. So she was putting around, Everett, Lynn, what have you. I don't know where she was living, but then she had her kid Steven. He went to New York, and he's doing his own thing out in New York. I think
How do you
he's
know
with
all
his
that?
father.
How do you know all this if you don't in contact with Carrie Ann? How do you know so much about Carrie Ann?
A real good friend of mine, Gary, no last name, right? No
But
names.
why wouldn't you forget Gary for a
Grapevine.
second? The grapevine, but why wouldn't you just reach out to Carrie yourself? Why do you got to go through other people?
I did. The only thing I reached out with her, it was on a voicemail. I said, "How are you doing?" This and that. She never returned the call.
But you said,
She
that was
returned
it.
the voicemail call.
That was in 1995. I'm talking about now. You don't want to reach out to her now?
I just know that she don't like me no more.
Why?
And that's the bottom line. It's
But
not
the
like
last time you talked to her, she did like you. Why don't she like you anymore now?
Oh, you're right. I stand corrected. I haven't talked to her, so there's nothing to be remorseful for me. But the way her life has been going, and what I heard it has been going, it hasn't been going real well. So I wouldn't walk up to her and say, how's life, Carrie? I wouldn't just blatantly ask, throw that out in the air, and say, how's life going? Because I heard, that one night, she got into an incident with a friend she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and she was unrecognizable the day after.
You wrong.
Yeah.
You wrong.
Yeah.
You wrong. You wrong.
Yeah.
You wrong.
It's crazy, man, but she was unrecognizable the day after this incident, and this only happened less than a year ago, maybe
You
a
keep
year
saying
ago.
you keep saying you're remorseful, right? You keep saying you're not remorseful for her relationship. Basically, you're saying you don't feel bad for going out with Carrie Ann, right? So, but
Right.
and you're using the word remorseful now. And the thing is this, right? Hamlet Street. Did you hang on Hamlet Street? Do you know anything about
No,
Hamlet Street? You never went on Hamlet
no,
Street? You said she
never.
lived on Hamlet Street, right?
She mainly She hung out with her girlfriend Michelle
Did
that I knew
Michelle
of.
live on Hamlet Street?
Yeah, she was like best friends with Michelle.
But did Michelle live on
She was
Hamlet
like her
Street?
best friend.
Did Michelle
Did
live
she
on
hang out
Hamlet
on
Street?
Hamlet?
Did she live
There
on
was no
Hamlet
place.
Street?
The only thing on Hamlet Street was her mom's home. That was
Her
it.
mother lived on
It
Hamlet. Did
it
you
wasn't
ever?
a hangout. If we hung out together, it
Uh-huh.
would be something like I think I saw her at a party once at the end of Alston Street.
How
This is
far?
later.
Wait a minute. Let me ask
And
you
I
this.
saw her
If you
over a
walk,
party
let me ask
once.
you this. If you was on Hamlet Street right now, right? Me and you were
Yeah.
on Hamlet Street, right?
Yeah.
Which way would you walk to your house? Would you walk down Hamlet Street or would you walk up towards Boston Street? What's the fastest way to get to your house?
Down Boston Street to
You would
Washington Street, across the highway, and there's Alston Street where I used to live, where my mom
so
sold her
you
that home.
wouldn't walk down Hamlet Street?
No, you can't get across the highway that way. Well, you could,
You
but
could?
it's like a major intersection on that McGrath Highway. The easiest way to do it is go down Boston, go to Washington Street, cut under the bridge, and you're right there where I used to live. From her
Man,
home.
did you ever
Her
walk?
old home.
Carrie Ann? Did you ever walk Carrie Ann home?
No, I went out with her to go out to get something to eat one time, but I never walked her home. No,
You never met her on the side of Hamlet Street?
no, it was different. It was like I saw her at a party. I went out with her at two Papagenos once. We had something to eat. And then where else did I see her?
All right,
The
so
night she came over.
so you don't know
85.
nothing about the letters. What was Margot? What was the name of the attorney? Jay Brilliant. What was the name of that attorney? Attorney Hart.
Hold on one second.
Now,
I think Margot's in. I think she's in the chat.
Martin, I wanted to ask you something. I mean, I feel real bad. You said about the incident that happened about a year ago. She was unrecognizable. Huh? What the hell happened?
And this is the truth. Me putting two and two together. I think she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She ended up like that, inebriated somehow, with the wrong, with a person that was only assumed she was hanging out with. But she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then from a friend, a real good friend, Gary, no last name, no names on that, said, you wouldn't believe the story I have to tell you, Martin. And he says, I was just with Kerry. She got knifed, right? And she was unmatched. She didn't even know what she was talking about. She couldn't even make sense talking to Gary. He related to me. He goes, she wasn't even making sense. She was unrecognizable and she wasn't making sense. She said to Gary, from what Gary's was relaying to me, that why didn't you marry me, Gary? Why didn't you go after Steve Holgate and do whatever for what he did to me? So she wasn't making sense because Steven never was with her for the last 8 years, almost 10 years, almost 15 years. That's the last time Steven was with her.
So
Not her
let me
son,
ask you
but
this.
Steven, an
So
ex-boyfriend. But
let's
she
back up a
wasn't
little
making
bit.
sense.
Okay, and you know what, Martin, I'm trying to make sense of some things, right? So let's make some sense. All right, she's not making sense, but let's make some sense. You want to make some sense with me?
Yeah.
All right, let's make some sense here. Let's get down to the bottom of this shit, right? People are asking questions. Tom Riley, the district attorney back in the day, never helped you with any of your cases and sections you? That never happened?
He never did. I never had a problem with Tom Riley.
No, okay. Did he ever section you, though?
Did he ever section me? No.
Did you ever get sectioned in Somerville District Court?
Yeah. I've been section 35 before.
What year?
97.
97.
97.
Right around the same 97.
Yeah.
You remember that year good, huh? That was right around the time. That was like what? That was like 2 years after. Was that around the time Eddie was getting on trial? Was it around that
Okay.
time?
I think
In
this was
97?
it was after. It was after. I was sectioned for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks
was after?
In a lockdown. 35
Okay.
for 2 weeks after
In
the
97.
incident where he was convicted for what he did, what happened with Janet. This was after I got sectioned afterwards, and then
All right.
my
And let me
parents
ask
had
you
me
this:
get
Do you know Attorney Small?
who?
Attorney Small?
I don't know. No, I don't know him. I've
You
never
don't know
heard
an
of him.
attorney named Small?
No,
You never had an attorney named Small?
nope.
What if I tell you? What if I can prove to you had an attorney named Small? What would you say?
I don't know. I just don't remember the name. Ever
You
being
remember
counseled
so much though, right,
as a
Martin?
lawyer.
No, in 1997, you remember so much of 1995. You remember where you hung, and right around that space and time, you had an attorney named Small that had letters on you saying that Janet deserved to die and that you wrote these letters. And what if I told you that I'm going to get these letters and I'm going to have them, and you're telling me now you don't remember them? You sure you don't remember these letters?
I'm positive. I don't, JF. I never
Is there any
remembered
reason why you would
letters
deny
like
these
that.
letters? Have you ever wrote letters to anybody? Like, did you ever write something down? Do you write on pieces of paper? Do you write your frustrations on paper?
Yeah, I did. Whatever guilt I put on paper, I destroy. I rip it up and throw it in the trash unless it's
Oh,
innocent. No,
guilt.
all kidding
Wait.
aside.
Let's rewind. Wait.
You want to
So
hear something really crazy?
things that you're guilty of, you write down on pieces of paper.
Yeah, but I wouldn't show anybody if I wrote something down that I was guilty for something. I would never do that.
Okay. All right. I
I never
totally
had
get
a
it.
lawyer that's
What
ever
if you
told me
say what if I told
he's
you
guilty.
what if I told you you might have thought you threw something away and you didn't throw them away?
I would just tell you same thing. I don't remember writing a letter like that.
But you write
Okay.
things on paper. Like, when's the last time you wrote something on paper? Like, if you're stressed out, you're in Somerville, you're at a Dunkin'
10
Donuts,
years.
you got a pen. Do you write? But how would you write it?
And
Would you write it?
this is
Like, what
true.
type of form?
I don't.
Are you good at writing letters?
No, not really. No, because you know, and this is true, and this is not teasing or the kidding around. But I took business administration in college. After I
Yeah.
left college, I didn't want to do anything administrative. I didn't want. I was just too lazy. I never had any interest in. I didn't mean the reason why that my what I took in college. I didn't even like. I didn't even like it.
What was your cat's name?
My cat's name?
Did you have cats?
I never had a cat.
You never had cats?
I had a cat as a young kid, but I never had a cat as an adult.
No, did you
I
have a
never owned
cat
a
when you lived on Alston Street? Did you have cats when you lived there?
Yeah, Sheba.
Sheba.
Oh,
Did she sleep
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah, I think the cat died, but it was given to me by my aunt as
But
an adult cat.
did Sheba sleep with you? What color was she?
She was a good cat.
Gray and white.
She was
Gray
what?
and white.
Gray and white.
Gray and white. She had a good
Right.
nice mane to her. My aunt gave it to me.
Let me ask you
The
this:
cat
was
died.
you friendly? Now, Carrie Ann was always with her dog, right? Did she walk her dog a lot, Carrie Ann? Her dog, you know her dog's
She
name?
never had it. She never had a pet that I knew of. She never owned a
you didn't?
pet.
Oh, Carrie
She
Ann
didn't.
didn't own a pet?
No, not that I know of.
No. Oh, she had a dog.
She did?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she
didn't
had
know
a
that.
dog named Joshua.
Oh, I just knew. Look, she when she left
Did
the
you have
last
an
time I
attorney
talked
named?
to her,
Did you have an
she
attorney
had
named
no.
Bill? Do you know Bill? An
No,
attorney named Bill?
no,
You didn't
Bill,
know Billy
no.
the
I never
attorney?
had,
He helped.
I
He
never had a
helped you out
lawyer.
before in '97.
I never had a
He's
lawyer
dead
named
now.
Bill. Ever. Is
You
that
never had Bill?
is that the counsel? I don't know. I don't know Bill. Bill as a lawyer. I've never had.
Did you
I've
know him
never
as
had a
William?
lawyer named Bill. William? No, never had one.
William Small?
No, I don't remember that. Recognize that name. Doesn't sound familiar.
So you
This
say
is
when you get
true.
upset, you write your guilt down on pieces of paper, and then you crumble it up and you get rid of it.
Well, I would read it, tell myself or give thought to it. How ridiculous is that? But I would never show anything I had guilt. Something I would be incriminating my own person.
Did you feel
I've never
guilty
had
of
a
Janet?
lawyer that said plead guilty over guilt.
Did you feel guilty? Did you feel guilty of Janet Downing's death for any reason? You just felt guilt of
No,
it? You didn't feel that?
never. I never did. It was just so surprising that that happened. It was just like random. It was like to me, it was like one in a million thing in my life that ever I would ever come across that something like that would happen to her.
You would come
She,
across?
she was separated from her husband. She had three kids. Carrie, her two brothers, like you just said. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I just knew Carrie had a younger brother. I didn't know she had two. Matter of fact, whether she had two younger brothers. And that's the only thing I knew of that family, Downing family.
Did Janet ever slap you in the face?
No, she never did. Physically, the only person experience was in the backyard. She came to the to my front door when I was living, at Alston Street with the policeman to retrieve her daughter. Saying, like I said, she was like, "Please, officer, can you tell this young gentleman that he can't be having my daughter over his home?" And he said, "Technically, ma'am, he's not holding her against her will, so he's not doing anything wrong." So the police, like I said, side on my behalf. The policeman that night that
So do you
Janet
think?
Downing
Do
was in
you
the
think? Well, did that
backyard.
make you mad? Okay, but then ultimately,
Mad?
hold on. Stay with me here. Ultimately, Carrie Ann went with her mother, right, and left you, right?
Correct.
All right.
She
So did
went.
that?
She went
Oh, hold on,
home.
hold on. Okay. Ultimately, she left. Now, did that make? Did you tell Carrie Ann? Did you tell Carrie Ann in that space and time? Listen, the policeman sided with me. You could stay with me. Don't go home to your mother. Did you want her to stay with you and not to go home to her mother?
No. At that point, it was like one of those things where, and I'm not afraid to say this. Break it up. It has to be. She has to go home. She's too young. She's not supposed to be there by her mother's approval or
But the cop
permission.
sided with you,
She's
though.
not
The
supposed
cop
to be at
sided
my
with you.
house. The cop, he sided on my behalf, saying that as long as she's not being held by her own against her will, I was not doing anything wrong, having her over my house, my apartment, or whatever.
Let me ask you
I was
this:
not doing anything wrong. That's
Have
what
you
the
ever been?
policeman said.
Did you ever take the bus? Did you ever take the bus from
The what?
Arlington to Woburn? You know the bus from Arlington to Woburn? You ever go to Arlington Square and
No,
take a bus to Woburn or Burlington?
no, I never did.
Have you
For
ever
any
been to
reason,
Woburn?
I don't
Have
remember.
you ever
No.
been to Woburn?
I had cousins that lived in Woburn.
Yeah. Did you know William Small from Woburn,
No.
the lawyer?
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. That lawyer.
You do remember him, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that lawyer. I don't
Okay.
recognize. I'm not. I don't. I'm not recognizing the name, but I did have a lawyer that had an office in Woburn, Mass. Yeah,
Right.
as a matter of
Right.
fact, I could have been wrong on that. Yeah.
And did he ever find any letters? Did you ever give him any letters about Janet Downing?
No,
What
the
if I told
incident
you?
where he was where he was covering my case, I had something. It had something to do with being trespassing on property I shouldn't have been on. So I got charged for that. But that lawyer was helping me out. Although I was 35 at the time for that incident of trespassing on
Who
somebody's
was
property I
throwing cinder
shouldn't have
blocks
been
at
on.
trains?
Huh?
Who was
Say again,
throwing
Jake?
cinder blocks at trains?
Yeah, it was. I was on private property I should not have been on. So that lawyer from Woburn, who has an office in Woburn,
Mm-hmm.
I was 35. I was in lockdown for 2 weeks for the incident. But after that, I think I got some sort of probation, 6 months probation after serving the 2 week sentence in lockdown. But I do remember that lawyer. Yeah, I had a lawyer that had an office in Woburn, Mass.
Did you ever go
So
into? Did you ever
you're right
go
about that.
inside?
But the name
Did you
doesn't
ever?
sound. I don't remember the name. His name.
So he never found you any letters? Never found any letters that you wrote?
No,
Did you ever
the case
discuss
he was.
that Woburn? Oh, listen to me.
Mike,
Listen to me. You got to listen, Marty. You got
Marty?
to listen to me. Please listen to me. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say this real slow. I want you to think real hard and deep. Right? I'm not trying to set you up. I'm
yeah.
asking you a straight question. Did you ever discuss any letters with William, the guy, the lawyer that I'm talking about from Woburn, the guy who had the office in Woburn, that lawyer?
No,
Did you ever discuss any letters?
no, at all. Jeff. No, I never did.
Okay.
And my memory's not that bad. So
No,
it's,
you said you have a good memory.
it's
That's what
just
you
been
told
so
me.
long that if I remember correctly, it was in 1997, and I do specifically remember that in 1997 he was protecting me as counsel on a case
Right.
of being on private property. It had nothing to do with letters written to Janet for any reason whatsoever. So no to
No, it had
to your
nothing to
question.
do. No, the case had nothing to do with Janet. No, but there was some
No.
letters written to Janet.
No,
he
I
help?
never read it. I never did.
Did he
No.
ever help you get your property back from when you were trespassing?
He I served 2 weeks in lockdown for being on somebody's property that I should not have been on, and I got
Yeah, but what,
6 months probation after I
But,
got out
but
of
what?
lockdown.
But
so
what did you do on that property? You threw cinder blocks at a train, didn't
No, I
you?
was just cutting through, cutting a corner, taking a shortcut home.
Who was throwing the
Yeah,
cinder blocks at the trains?
yeah, yeah, that was right. That was right.
You
So
were,
that
right?
incident, yeah, that incident. So I was 35 for 2 weeks. Then I got 6 months probation,
You
and
wasn't
I had a
35. You
probation. I
wasn't
had to
30.
see a
You
probation.
wasn't. There's no way you would have been 30 if you was only 18 years old in 91. How were you 35 in 1997? You wasn't 35 in 97.
Easy, real easy. They didn't incarcerate me. They threw me to lockdown.
No, no, no,
And
no.
like
Listen to me. You're saying, hold on. Let's stay with me here, Martin. Stay with me. I don't want you to say something that you're not
he
saying
got
right.
section.
Let's
I think he's saying he
hold
got
on.
section.
Kevy, please. Let me get this straight. In 1991, you said you were 18 years old, right?
yeah,
How old
I
are you
was
right now?
19, going on
How old are you
18,
right
going
now?
on 19. Go ahead.
How old are you
I'm
right now, sir?
54.
You're 54.
54.
So
Yeah,
so in 1990 you were 21 and she was 16 and you were 21 when you was with her. You wasn't 18
I
in
was only
1991.
18,
No,
and
in
I was
1990 you
in
weren't 18.
1990. I was
No, you were
18. Yeah, I
21.
was.
No, you
He
wasn't.
was
You were
18
21.
turning 19.
No, I was born in 71. Right?
Yeah.
If you go 81, 91.
Yeah, you were what? 20 years old.
He was 19 turning 20.
Yeah, I
No,
was
if you were born in
19.
71, 81, wait a minute. If you were born, listen, 71, 81, you're 10 years old. 91, you're 20. So you were 20 years old in 1990.
Yeah, I was like 18 going on 19
No, you
in
wasn't 18 going
1990.
on 19. In 1990, you were 20 years old, sir.
Yeah, so you're minus one, and you're minus
Okay.
1 year because
All right.
I was. It was
You
90.
listen, bro. Listen, 71 you were born, right? 81 you're 10,
Yeah, so I was
91 you're 20.
19.
No, in 1990 you were 20. 91 you were 21.
No,
92
no,
you're
you're doing it right.
23, 94 you're 25, 96 you're
71,
27,
81, 90.
90 you were 27 years old in 1997. Not
Yeah,
35.
yeah, I was something like that. I was 25 somewhere around there.
All right, so in
Yeah, I was 25.
1997 when you had that lawyer in Woburn, you were 27 years old, not 35.
Yeah, that's right. I was 30.
Okay.
Oh, not. I wasn't saying my age. I was 35. In other words, I was put in lockdown for 2 weeks. That's what I
In
meant by 35.
1997? In 1997?
Yeah.
No, you weren't
And then I
35.
got
But
2
anyway.
weeks. I got 6 months probation for it. I served that, but I do remember having a lawyer from Woburn. Yeah, I stand corrected. I didn't. I just. You had to recollect my memory because I didn't remember that.
Now,
I didn't.
where were you living when this incident happened and you had to get the lawyer and you ended up doing,
I was
getting
renting an
locked down
apartment
for
off
2
my.
weeks?
I was at 6 Alston Street renting an apartment off my parents.
Did
They
you
own the
lose
home,
that?
so I rented an apartment. I paid rent for the apartment that
Yeah.
they provided.
Did you lose that apartment while you were locked up?
Yeah.
So did the
I never
lawyer?
got.
Did the lawyer help you get your things from that apartment? Like did he help you get your stuff back? Like when you got evicted from that apartment for not being there, you were locked up. Did he help you get your things back?
Yeah. Once the heat cooled with my parents, then they started giving me privileges back, like the apartment. I never had the apartment at the time the incident in 97 happened. But once the heat cooled after 97, I was allowed to rent the apartment of my parents who owned the home. and that's where I resided thereafter at 97 in that apartment, paying rent, to my parents.
All right, so really, you didn't lose your stuff. I mean, you're telling me your
No,
personal property was still at your mother's like in-law
yeah,
apartment.
it was. I had everything, everything I had. What I had to do to hold down a full-time job, I had at my parents. Unless I had, what I had that my parents gave privilege to me for, I wouldn't have been able to hold down a job unless I resided there. I can't. Even at that, where I left the crow's nest at 48, and this is true. This is gonna astonish you. This story gets good. Carrie Ann left the crow's nest at 18, 17, 16, 17, 18 years old. 16, 17, or 18. She was like 17, 18 years old, and she left the crow's. I didn't leave the crow's nest till I was 48 years old, and that's fucking crazy. That's how. That's how. That's how. That's the story of her leaving the crow's nest. She did it on her own, living in Lynn, Everett, what have you. But today, she ran into trouble because she was in, like I said, in 2024. She ran into trouble. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time with somebody she should not have been messing around with, who was not her friend. And like I said, from hearsay, and this happened in 2024, about a year ago, he said she was not recognizable.
Were you upset about this?
Yeah, I was, because I was like, look, as far as I know, I never got in trouble with getting like seriously injured. I've never been hurt by assault with a dangerous weapon on the streets. I never carried a knife. I never carried a gun. I didn't think I had to, and I never did. I know how to protect myself on the streets on my own. But she's, her being a girl, she probably was, like I said, I hate to repeat this again, at the wrong place, in the wrong place, at the wrong time, with the wrong person. The next day, she was unrecognizable. She didn't even know what she was talking about. She's like, she goes, Gary, and this is what Gary told me. Why didn't you ever marry me when you should have, and took care of Stephen for what he did to me? Stephen was never with her for 20 years. That's how he knew. He put two and two together. And I thought I gave her some thought too. She didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah.
She was inebriated the night before. She ran into trouble. She got assaulted, and somebody stabbed her in her abdomen for saying something bad to the wrong thing to the wrong person.
Yeah.
So
she
your
had a
question
thing.
was, and this is true. I'll answer your question. Do I feel bad for her? Emotionally sympathetic? Yeah. I was like, she's only young, man. She's 2 years younger than I am. She made it, leaving the crow's nest, a whole lot younger than I did. And I felt bad for her.
Yeah. So
It was just
Gary was another guy that dated her. She wanted to know why he didn't marry her, huh?
Yeah, but
So how
like
well
I
did you
said,
know Gary? I mean,
that being
Gary
the
had a
following day that he saw her, JF, that being the following day that he saw her, it's true. She was hungover, coming off a stupor, which, like I said, the night before, she was with somebody that she should not have been with, in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's how I put to anybody that heard the story that Gary related that to would put two and two together with what happened. She was either
Isn't Gary living in Manchester?
using some sort of illegal drugs like cocaine or what have you, pot. Probably not pot, but she's probably using cocaine.
See, I didn't know.
She was with it. She was with the wrong person.
Doesn't Gary live in Manchester?
Huh?
Doesn't Gary live in Manchester?
No. He used to live at the end of Alston Street, where I lived, Alston Street.
You don't live in Manchester now?
So I knew him since I was a kid, Gary.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
he
to you,
also,
So Gary and Carrie Ann, they had a thing, huh? They dated too?
Yeah, how did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I mean. I just I'm trying to put this together. So that, I mean, that was that weird. I mean, when he said, why did why didn't you marry me instead of letting Steven? I mean, I was confused. I didn't know Gary went out with
She was
Carrie
coming
Ann.
off. Yeah, she was coming off a stupor. If you put two and two together, her going out and hanging out with the wrong person, she probably thought it was her friend because she probably she hangs out with anybody.
Yeah.
And there's no names on that I can think of that does that, but it's true. Some even it's not gender bias that a male person or a female person would just hang out with anybody as long as there's drugs involved. It's hang out,
Yeah.
But she was coming off a stupor, and this is where he met up with and saw her the following day. She was hungover. She didn't know what she was saying. She was injured. Somebody stabbed her in her abdomen with a knife, assaulted her with a dangerous weapon on the streets. And she didn't know what she was talking about. She was like babbling. So she's like, "Why didn't you take care of Steven for what he did to me?" Steven was never with her the last 20 years. 20 years the last time he was with her. Yeah, Steven, an ex-boyfriend of hers.
Yeah. So
20 years.
she wanted Gary to take care of the situation. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, imagine that. How could you hold a grudge for 20 years over a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship and then get back? I think she was covering up that she didn't want to admit that she was. It was her fault that she got beat up. There,
Yeah.
going out with somebody, being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. That's the truth.
That's crazy, man.
It is.
Are you good friend? Are you still good friends with Gary today?
Say again.
Are you still good friends with Gary today?
Yeah. I just saw him the other night.
Oh shit.
So, hey, Gary. But it's been a year that happened.
Does Gary writes things down too?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's like almost like, I forget what he does, but he makes video films, like interviews. He's got the JVC, the video camera, the dad, what have you. He does that sometimes on his own. He makes his own magazines. Like he makes up the articles.
You think you can get him in touch with me?
So like character, like a cartoon character, like Fat Albert character, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like Derek of Dialect, kid with the pullover on Fat Albert cartoon.
Yeah,
Gary does that. Yeah, he draws up the character and writes. He gives character to the cartoon character. He did that for some time, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's what he did for a living." He also interviewed people, like old friends. I want to do an interview with old friends, and then he would take the material or whatever they used, like almost like scat, some of the community access television, and whatever they took and aired, they would air.
Yeah.
Have you done an interview with him?
Yeah, I say again.
Did you ever do an interview with him?
Yeah, I did on Prospect Hill.
Did you?
Nice. That's
yeah,
cool.
It didn't come out right. Yeah, it never came out right. But I was saying,
did Gary know Janet?
Yeah. I'm assuming he did.
Yeah.
Because he was closer.
You think you can get him in touch with me?
Huh?
Can you get him in touch with me? Can you talk to him, see if he'll call me?
Yeah, I could do that. That's a good idea, man. That is a good idea because he has no hesitation in his like I said, that's a good idea, and I'll talk to him. If I see him around the neighborhood, I'll ask him if he would also, if you're willing to do an interview with him.
Yeah, that'll be
Because,
awesome.
yeah, his story would co-inverse with the story I told you. It would co-inverse.
So,
They would be
so
so similar.
let me ask you a
It
question.
was comparatively similar story for what happened with that incident with Jan.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you're saying you got arrested at 35, you mean you got sanctioned? A sanction 35? Is that what you were meaning?
Yeah, Section 35, they call it.
You got
get sent to lockdown.
you got sectioned at 27 though, right?
27, yeah. Threw me in lockdown. And then I got 6 months probation afterwards, after I got out of lockdown. And
Why
then when
didn't
they,
they
like I
put you
said,
in jail for that crime?
I've never been in prison my whole life.
No, I'm asking you, if you were throwing cinder
Did they
blocks
ever
at
take your
trains,
DNA? Did they ever?
Say
Did you ever
again?
get your Did you ever get your DNA taken?
I got fingerprinted, but never DNA.
Would you be
I've never
willing?
been to prison.
Would
I've
you be
never,
willing
I've
to?
never
Would you
served
be willing? Would you be
a
willing to
sentence.
take your DNA? Would you be willing to give your DNA?
I don't think there were. I don't think it'd be irrelevant. It'd be unnecessary. Why would I? Why would I need DNA?
Would you be
I
willing
never
to do
had a
it
kid.
though?
I never had a kid with her.
No, no,
She
no,
had
not for kids,
she
not
had
for not
Steven
for
with somebody
not for
else.
kids, not for kids, not for kids. For anything else, for a crime, would you be willing to take your DNA?
Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to take a DNA.
I mean, it could. I'll tell you, it could help. It
Fair
could
enough.
help Carrie Ann. It could help Carrie Ann get real justice for Janet. I mean,
Yeah,
would you be willing to help Carrie Ann that way?
yeah, yeah. I would help her in a sense. I feel bad for her, and this is the truth, man. Emotionally sympathetic for her for being, getting into trouble because she couldn't protect herself that night. I don't think she ever would, you know, be stupid to do the same thing if she'd end up getting injured. Hanging out with somebody that she shouldn't be hanging out with. That's the truth. That
Did you ever get in trouble with Gary?
Gary? No, he's not. He's never committed a crime. He's never been charged for a crime. He doesn't even have a criminal record yet. But if I see him, I would be like, yeah. And it's true. Like I said it prior. His story, when you interview him, it would co-inverse with the story I told you of what with the down and carry in.
Now, when you got hemmed up for the bricks with the train, and you got the Section 35. I mean, did they want to evaluate you? Like, damn, like what the fuck you throwing these bricks at the train? Did you get
Did they
evaluated?
want to evaluate me? Yeah, they did. I see a
Really?
psychiatrist.
What did they come up with? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, was there any diagnosis or?
Yeah, I see a psychiatrist. I'm a psych.
That's good. You keep up with that?
Yeah, I take medicine for it.
That's good. They
give me a psych med. You know what I mean?
You want to keep up with that. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, even the psychiatrist, she might even offer to tell you to write things down. I mean, it helps,
Yeah, my doctor helps me in a lot of different ways. Not to change the subject, principal subject change, but I've been seeing a psychiatrist since I was like 25. I'm 50. 25 years, man. I've seen a psychiatrist. So I take a psych med.
You started. Let me ask you this: did you started realizing about your disorder around the time you ended a relationship with Janet? Is that right around the time you started understanding your disorder?
Yeah, my parents picked up on it, and they were like, "Well, you got to get an MRI." And I got an MRI at Cambridge Hospital. They gave me a CAT scan. I got to
What
stay in
happened? What they find out? What they find out?
I don't know. They there was just like psychiatric treatment. I needed it, and I had to take a psych med. Psych. That's the diagnosis. It sucks, but I don't. If I ever get in trouble with police or ambulance, never fire. But if I ever get in trouble with police or ambulance, it's always uh, a lockdown thing. I've never been to prison. I've never been to state prison. I've never been to federal prison for any reason. I've never been jailed for anything. It was always lockdown they threw me since I was 25. If they see me on the street inebriated, they'll be like, "You got to go to the hospital. Stay overnight." At one time, they handcuffed me to the gurney, my gurney, and they maced me in the eyes, so I couldn't see. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, I can't see. My eyes are burning. I was like, why am I handcuffed to the gurney? And I was, there was a cop there, and they maced me for being drunk in public, rude and disorderly.
Well,
They do that a
man.
lot.
Listen, I gotta let you go, man. But I appreciate you coming on here, brother. And we're gonna talk again soon. We're gonna send you a cash app. Send Jay Brew the cash app.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
gonna send it.
thank you, man. Blow it up, man.
Yeah,
Blow it
man,
up,
got
man.
you.
I want some grub, man.
Hey,
Thank you,
listen.
JF.
Listen,
Okay, Jay.
we're gonna meet up at Burger King tomorrow too, so you can sign that letter for me.
All right.
All
I'm
right,
fine
I'll
with
call you when I get out of work, and I'll send you that cash apps tonight.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
All right, no worries.
Hey, thanks
Good
for
looking
coming
out
up,
for me,
Martin.
man. Good looking out for me.
Yeah, I'll
Yes,
send
sir.
something over to Martin. Have a good night.
All right, man. Peace and love, my man. Peace.
Peace.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. You guys get what you know. Good conversation. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, man.
You
Mic
know,
check to the gods.
Mike check to the gods is right. I mean,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'd like to talk to Martin some more.
I mean, I think that what I got from it is that he don't, them letters, man. We're gonna have to get them letters, man. Bottom line. I mean, if he doesn't,
As soon as they get out of work tomorrow, I'll go down there and meet him up and have him sign that letter, and then we can talk to the attorney or whatever it is that has the information that has that client privilege.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's where we go from there. Because other than that, you got to take his word on it. He just might not know or remember them times,
Yeah.
So
no, I think that was good. That was some good interaction. I think Gary's very close to Martin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him get a hold of me too.
Yeah, I'd like to see you do that. Yeah, Gary. Gary is another guy that I think we should try to reach out to for sure. Gary, if you're listening, man, it'd be nice if you could come up and speak. I mean, It sounds like that. It sounds like Martin also, has been in some trouble here and there, and it seems like, he's been labeled as a local that's kind of off his meds. Let's say this, let's say it at that. For him to be getting PC'd or no jail time. He's never been to prison. Yeah. There's a few more questions I'd love to ask Martin. I think it went pretty good, though. I don't know. What about you, Jay?
I think it went very good, actually.
Yeah.
That's why I had J.F.K. come up here, because he's the question getter. He knows what questions to ask. I would have got stumped a long time ago.
No, definitely. I mean, I think we hit some good questions with him. I'm glad that he finally remembered the lawyer, William, out in Wilmington. You know, and that's what it probably kind of needed, just a refresher. You know, I mean, it's been a long time as well. And there's probably a few things that might come to mind with Martin later tonight. You don't know. You know, there might have been something that he did want to say that he didn't get a chance to say. And if Martin's listening, you know, whether or not he knows it or not, I mean, like he said about Riley, I mean, Riley's seen one particular angle back then about Mr., you know, about young Eddie that kind of, you know, if the glove fits, you know, put it back on him, or if the shoe doesn't fit, make it fit, you know, which is seems to be that was the talk of the town. And really the narrative being pushed out back then, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you know, whether he knows it or not, Martin, he could be helping not only, you know, Eddie for being wrongly convicted of this if he didn't do it, but he also could be helping, you know, Carrie Ann, that it seems like he still has, you know, some feelings for, and still seems to keep his updates, and he keeps checking in, whether it's through a friend or not. You know, whether Martin knows it or not, it might be helping justice for Janet as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, bro.
But yeah, what else? What else do you think, Jay?
I gotta get that letter signed and find out what this lawyer has to say, or whatever it is that has to say. See if we can get those letters, and then if it's true, it's true. If not, then I don't know. We have to go back and relook at everything.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be good. I mean, if you can, you know. So what did he say? He was going to be heading back out to Somerville tomorrow. Is that what I'm getting by this? He's somewhere in Danvers tonight.
Nah, from what I understood, he's in Somerville. That's why I told him he can meet me at the Burger King, and then he could sign the paper, and I'll go on my way. He goes on his way. Throw him a couple bucks to eat, and that's it. Maybe get a cigarette butt or something. A cup from him. Never know.
Yes, sir. Well, listen, guys, I got to wrap this up, man. I appreciate everybody coming out, kicking it. We'll talk again real soon. Your man JFK got to bounce. I appreciate it.
Have a great flight, bro.
All right, man. Peace and love, guys.
All right, man. Have a safe flight. Later.
Thank you for all the super chats. I can't get to them all right now, but I see you. What the Duck? I see you, Lady Zelda. I see you, Free Kelsey, North Shore Mitts. Appreciate all you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Free Eddie, another $50. I seen with Aunt Deb. Jason uses towards phone charger, all that. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon. All right. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.